Oh, Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, happy Friday.
Hey.
Good morning. It's Friday. So great to be with you guys. I'm a little fussy today. I'm trying to gauge how I feel.
So am I.
You know how you start the day and literally you get an email or something happens, hey, Murtek, and it just sets the whole day in like a weird situation for you. Kind of happened like that with us today. Maybe different reasons, but I took Murphy on a walk. I think that's going to be my monologue this morning.
Wow.
It pisses me off. Anywho, you guys, this is the day. 139 people. You could get us to 100,000 Rumble followers today in 3 hours so we could celebrate with you and not hit it on the weekend. That sucks. Like, I want to be here with you when we hit it, which means we have to hit it before the break, before bad jokes. Come on. I'm desperate. No, I'm not desperate.
No.
I'm really eager to celebrate with you. And I don't want to do it when we're off the air.
So it's up to you guys.
Yes.
When someone new, you think they're in the chat.
Say, hey, I've never seen you before. You got to hit the Rumble button.
Yeah, hit the follow button. We're trying to get to 100K. Because this is as much about you guys as it is us.
This is the day. This is the day, you guys. So I'm super excited. I hope this is the day. I hope this is the day. So Joe came outside, Brock, and he looked at the patio with me yesterday.
Oh, boy.
And he looked at the slushies. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like,
that's Margarita Friday.
That's 90 ounces of pure margarita, baby doll. And he went, really? When are we trying that one out? I'm like, well, if we do it without Brock, he'll be a baby as the way he just was. Baby, man-child Brock. That's what we call him here.
Oh, is that what we're calling him now? Like that's a new one. I thought Wendy's bitch was
the staff, and I have referred to him as man-child Brock for a while.
The staff, the dogs. It is a huge compliment when radio stations reach out and say, I hope you and your staff keep doing the same thing, because I get to respond with,
I'm like, well,
we are staff.
There's a couple of us. Then there's Kelly, of course, obviously, Toolsy, yes. So anyway, the chefies, or slushies rather, from Chefman. I just blurred two things together.
So when are we breaking it out?
Hopefully this week. Or maybe even this weekend if Jolene and Tom come in. Jolene and her two. Yeah, that's next weekend. Yes. I want to tell you guys about this Chef IQ, this chefman.com, promo code Wendy, the slushy maker. This isn't like some bzzzt and it creates you a milkshake. This is a machine that makes 90 ounces of your favorite frozen beverage. It can be a milkshake. It can be a frappe. It can be margaritas. It can be whatever the Sam Hill you want it to be, right? It's yours, and it's 25% off right now. Do we have the QR code to put up there? By the way, a little fun fact. I checked, and it seems like every single thing on the website is 25% off with our promo code. So
if you're in the market for an espresso machine,
panini maker, ice maker, they've got a air fryer, like blah, blah, the blender, chefman.com, promo code Wendy, 25%. Hover above this QR code, open it up, bada bang. Holy cow. The discounts are fantastic. And so if there's somebody that you are having a hard time shopping for the holiday, wouldn't you love to just get rid of some of that stuff? Check it off your list. Chefman.com. Promo code Wendy. And I think they even do a chefman.com/Wendy, but you'll find it. Just use my name and it's gonna put it in for you. Love them. We've got a really cool new sponsor next week. And I'm going to tell you, it has to do with red light therapy, which I've been using on my feet. And it works.
In my back.
It works. And so we're going to be talking about that next week. I'm super geeked. I just looked ahead at the calendar and I was like, wait, what? Red light therapy? Yes. Hey, man, I'm all about not taking prescriptions. How many drugs are you guys on? How many prescriptions? You know, you probably have something for hormones, cholesterol, blood pressure, right? And then God forbid you're sick or have something else going on. Our objective is to get you off of stuff. to use supplements that use just good ingredients that occur in nature. Amazing what we can do. And so that's what we do, keeping your brain fed and your body healthy. Oh, that was good.
I made a request.
Oh, I see it.
Hey.
I see it. So we're trying to finagle a position on the big board today, on the big box. They won't do it when Bongino's there, which is fine. Like, whatever. I know I'm not a priority. It's good. But maybe they'll put us up for the third hour today. Push us over the edge. I love
you guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at me.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program. Hey!
Well, hello, America. Good Friday to you, and welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, if you hang with us for a day or even a segment, I think what you're going to find is it just makes common sense, first of all. It's nice to know somebody has made a pledge to you that they're not going to lie to you. And number 3, we give you all of our sources. So if something strikes you and you're like, that can't be right, you can easily go back and fact check us. And what you're going to find is that we become part of your routine, the way you've become part of my family. WendyBellRadio.com. We are so close to hitting some milestones on our website, our Rumble page, WendyBellRadio.com. This is an exciting day to be an American. It's an exciting day to have this show. And I invite you to hang out for a while. Maybe next time, bring a friend. Thank you. And welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, to be perfectly honest with you, I've been searching for about 10 years now for an escape city. And it sounds kind of weird to say it that way. But I have been. I've been looking overpriced real estate listings online. In fact, it's my guilty pleasure. Some people go on QVC and buy things that they don't need. I scroll through ridiculously overpriced real estate all over the country, and I fantasize about where would I go if I could say in my next chapter of life that I want to do something different, that I want to take my husband away from the medical field here in Pittsburgh, that I don't think is living up to its reputation. It's become so bureaucratic. It's punishing. And as he walked out of the house at 3:30 in the morning to go cath a lady who was having an emergency, I thought, how long are we going to do this? How long? We're going to do it for a while because I don't have a clue yet, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't think it's going to be Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful city. My community's fantastic. It's about 10 square blocks. It's one of those roads that you drive down, there's one main drag and some offshoots, maybe literally 10 blocks. A lot of cul-de-sacs. A lot of big, beautiful trees. Big, beautiful trees. And if you open up your sunroof, if you have one, and you drive down the street at dusk, you look up to the sky and there's this canopy, like you're in the treetops. And there's that orange bubble, that glow from the sun that kind of holds you in. as the days of the summer end. It's a beautiful town. Until the liberals screwed it up. How's that for a frying pan to the face, right? Look, we lived in harmony for a while until Donald Trump, until one man turned very common sense people in my neighborhood, good people, hardworking people, educated people, professional people, moms, dads, grandparents, union workers, college professors, medical professionals, good people, turned them crazy, literally crazy. And I sat back and I watched it. Literally for 10 years since that man became president of the United States. I've watched the unwinding, the capture of my neighbors, the people who quickly put up the Black Lives Matter signs in 2020 after George Floyd because they didn't want their house probably to be next one targeted. I got a neighbor across the street who says a sign in her yard that says protect your neighbors from ICE. Right? You can't talk to some people because they won't hear you. They don't understand. They don't want to. I guess it's easier to hate than it maybe is to believe and to understand that you've been conned. But my community, I can tell you for a fact, has been conned. And how do I know that? Well, I know it very regularly. Every time there's a bad rain, I can tell you our community has been conned. Why? What happened? Those of you who know me well know I bitch about this commonly. Right? One drag in the whole little street that we live on. One drag. They decide to put in 2 roundabouts. There's no space for the roundabouts. If you go around the roundabout and somebody's in the crosswalk to your right, you come close to clipping them. I can't tell you how many times I've come close to hitting a dog or a pedestrian or a biker. There's no room. They did it anyway. I don't remember any public announcement. I don't remember any time that we were able to discuss what a dumb plan this would be. Oh, it would be traffic mitigation. Oh, we would make lives safer for the bicyclists, right? Really? The 8 of them that I see right down the street, we're going to completely fundamentally change all of the traffic stuff. Now, see, there's a residual effect of this. They didn't just put in roundabouts, ladies and gentlemen, and speed humps and traffic cones and all those downhill slalom course markings all over the ground in our community. They fudged up the sewer system, right? Well, we got to make everything ADA compliant. I don't have a problem with that. I don't see anybody necessarily in a wheelchair in my neighborhood, but I get the strategy. People have strollers. I get it. So they took every single intersection, every single corner, and they redid the corners. And then they put these grates on the sewers so that debris couldn't get in. Probably necessary in some degree, but here's the rub. Every time there's a heavy rain and all the water comes down into these areas, what happens? Yeah, you know what happens. It looks like, as Brock said this morning, a beaver dam. It's a beaver dam on top of all of these sewer grates. And what happens? Oh, the roundabouts, they go underwater. Now, what's the benefit of that to my neighborhood? Who benefits from that? I'm sure it was $500,000 to do all of this, if not more. And I know we paid for it. I didn't vote for it, but we paid for it. And predictably, like the cicadas that come back, the back to school bugs that chirp at you and let you know, oh, snap, it's time to go back to school. Summer's over. You know that with a nice, good rain, everything's going to be underwater. You know what happens? The good liberal neighbors who live on the corner scurry outside when the rain clouds move away, and they get their rake and their gloves and their bucket, and they scoop out all of the debris like good little Democrat soldiers to make sure the water can go down. It is the dumbest thing you've ever seen. Look, I'm not a plumber. I'm not an engineer, and I sure as heck am not a Democrat. But why do you have to break things that are working well? Why do you have to reinvent stuff to make it bog down? Why do you have to gum up the works and slow down our progress? Why do you have to create new rules and regulations? And why the hell do I have to pay for it? I didn't vote for it. I did vote for Donald Trump 3 times. And you've gotten in the way every single daggone time. Like my stupid neighbor around the corner who brought in a full-size, swear to God, the thing was 30 feet tall, big, giant Donald Trump inflatable duck. Because they thought that was hilarious on election day. And I'm like, you realize that guy's closing the border and shipping out 20 million people that your Doomcoff invited in with the puppeteer Barack Obama. You do realize that our public school situation here in Pittsburgh, where there is a scarcity of children who can read and do math at grade level. You do realize that is a product of you and your lousy policies. And the school board here that has been run by Democrats for decades. Republicans don't even think about running anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Why would you? And then one day, you wake up and you say it's time for something else. I got a news flash for Pittsburgh, beautiful town. I've loved it for 28 years. I consider it my hometown. You're going to let people ruin stuff to a point of no return. And the conservative people in the community, by the way, who have money, aren't going to want to pay for it anymore. They're going to be done with your empty promises. They're going to be done with the failing schools. They're going to be done with the medical system that promises things but doesn't deliver. They're going to be done. And they're going to go somewhere warmer and cleaner and more affordable and more conservative. And you, my fair friends, Democrats here in the city of Pittsburgh, will be left holding the bag. Enough, I think. The challenge now is to figure out whether staying and fighting is worth it, or if the uphill battle is so daunting it's not. Isn't that a shame? And how many of you know exactly what I'm talking about? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Caroline Levitt, she's a star, wants to see her family. I get it. She's stepping aside. Who's the next heir apparent? CNN, is that the place where we're going to find this individual? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So tired of it. Brock, in your street's worse. 18th? It's ridiculous. Yes. You take a street, literally, one lane, right? Road is a little bit like this. We're going to put in this ridiculous speed humps, these things that jut out, so you have to go like this because people are going too fast. Oh, we're in charge of slowing everything down. Or maybe you should be in charge of lowering our property taxes. You should be in charge of making sure there are enough police officers on the street. You should be in charge of perhaps making sure our kids are getting educated. You can be in charge of freaking picking up the trash. How about that?
Can I complain about my street for a second?
Yes, you can.
So they changed the pattern.
So stupid.
They put speed humps going up a hill. Speed bumps. So now I have to, instead of going straight and turning right, I've got to go to the left. And then I have to turn hard more than 90 degrees. And within 10 feet, speed bump.
How about yesterday when we were going to get haircuts and you came over and we had to turn right in that back way and you turn right over a speed bump? Yeah. There's a speed bump as you're turning to the right there at an intersection. Speed bump. You're like, I'm turning right. I'm not going that fast. What the are you doing? Right? See, stupid people don't work at Ghost Bed. I'm going to tell you that stupid people might work in government here in Allegheny County, here in the city of Pittsburgh, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the land before time. They don't work at Ghost Bed, ghostbed.com/Wendy. Here's a novel idea. We're going to make a mattress that's made in America. It's going to be of extraordinary support and comfort. Beyond that, we're going to insert this cooling technology, which is that the number one complaint people have, aside from just a crappy bed is that they're always hot. Kesakabai. And then beyond that, we're going to put it at a price point where you're going to be like, oh my gosh, we have to buy this. And that is where you are. And because we love you and GhostBed loves us, we want to give you 10% off. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. Use my name, 10% off. Look at their products, read the reviews, see how it gets delivered. It is beyond easy, and they give you 101 nights to sleep on it and see if you love it. Who does that? I'll tell you what, not the original Mattress Factory. These people do, though. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. Promo code Wendy. Me likey. Our hybrid, I'm telling you. It's a little dangerous, though. If you have a hard time falling asleep, it's one of those things where you're like, it's just so, it's just got the right cush, kind of like, give you a little bit of hug as you're like, okay. I'm all about good sleep, right? Who's not? So yeah, all my neighbors are out trying to clean up these grates because the freaking intersection's underwater. Was there an engineering plan on that one? Did anybody call in an engineer and like, well, we close all of these, we get a heavy downpour, what's going to happen? Well, let me draw you a picture. Every single time. And now it's not even a downpour. Now it's like a steady rain and you're like, well, don't go that way. Go the other way. It's going to be underwater.
Here's what makes me laugh. They don't want to work, but they'll go out and do that stuff. Liberals.
The freaking the Donald Trump duck was the dumbest thing. And people were like yucking it up over there. I walked by and I'm like, you guys are like 70. Job of White House press secretary. Under Joe Biden, it was about somebody who needed to lie. And Jen Psaki, she did it for a while. Circle back, Jen, right? I'll circle back with you. No, you won't. You'll just stand here and you'll lie and we'll reward you with some anchor position of some stupid show on MSNBC. Then there was the most diverse press secretary ever, Karine Jean-Pierre, who sadly was just a low IQ individual. There's just no other way to put it. She was terrible. Their job was to lie, to run interference, to be a smokescreen, to play cover, to basically throw everybody off the track, the scent of what was going on in the government. Donald Trump has a different strategy. It's unparalleled transparency. And Caroline Leavitt's job is to convey what the president is doing and what the cabinet is doing to the reporters, who will then lie about it, right? Go off on tangents, make up fake news, and then push that out to the people. Caroline says, I'm done. Gotcha. Scott Jennings last night on Abby Phillips' show, right? He's asked if he wants to be the next one. What do you think about that, Scott? Listen to what he says. This is very important.
Next question. Is Scott Jennings interviewing for press secretary? Someone wants to know.
Well, I don't have any comment about that, but it's an important job. And because that person has to represent the most powerful person in the world in the entire U.S. government. And, you know, what they say matters. And it's been one of the most storied and important roles in government. Whoever gets it, it's a big responsibility. And I think the president,
if you were offered it, would you take it?
Well, I'm not gonna answer that.
Sounds like a politician.
Well, I'm not gonna. I mean, look, the reality is that job. I think every president deserves a good, solid defense and someone who can go out there and explain what they're doing, because the government's doing so much. And I also think the American people deserve somebody to go out there and tell them what's going on with their president and with the government as much as they can. That job is the conduit to transparency in front of the camera and also behind the scenes, and that's an important part of it.
Okay, so Scott, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you. Have you spoken to the White House about this job?
Oh, I speak to the White House all the time.
About the press secretary job?
Not going to talk about it.
I would have been like, hey, I got, inquiring minds, Scott, my man, want to know. Did you actually really talk to Mitch McConnell? Because, it's been 68 days, y'all. We haven't seen proof of life. We're going to talk about that later. But the reason he talks about transparency, you'd have to be willing to slam your head against a wall every single day as the press secretary for President Trump. Because you would want to convey the good work that he's trying to accomplish, but you would know every day, sort of like me with my neighbors in the stupid roundabouts, nobody's listening to you. They're going to go do whatever they want to do, and what they want to do is to tarnish the administration. Let's go back. Speaking of transparency, I want to go back to Jen Psaki. Seems like a long time ago. 2021. Listen to this clip when she told us the administration's top priority during COVID. It wasn't getting people back on the job. It wasn't opening up our businesses. It wasn't getting kids back in school. It was about tracking and hunting down disinformation, working with social media companies to silence our voices so its bogus narrative could be forced upon us through influencers. This was Joe freaking Biden's press secretary.
In terms of actions, Alex, that we have taken, or we're working to take, I should say, from the federal government, we've increased disinformation research and tracking within the Surgeon General's office. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread disinformation. We're working with doctors and medical professionals to connect to connected medical experts who are popular with their audiences with accurate information and boost trusted content. So we're helping get trusted content out there. We also created the COVID Community Corps to get factual information into the hands of local messengers. And we're also investing, as you all have seen, in the president's, the vice president's, and Dr. Fauci's time in meeting with influencers who also have large reaches to a lot of these target audiences who can spread and share accurate information.
You know when something works? When you're telling the truth. You don't need to rent a freaking billboard. You don't need to hire somebody to be like, look, I really need you to tell your people about this. It's fabulous. Because people know. Because people trust you. The administration, she just said, we're working with Facebook. We're targeting and flagging problematic posts. Guess who got fired during that time? I did. Guess whose Facebook page got hijacked during that time? Mine did. Guess who lost more than 300,000 people? I did. And she freaking told us that was the play. Their job was convincing you to roll up your sleeve and roll the dice. Don't ever forget what these people did to us. Ever. Okay, I'm so glad I got that out of my system. Like, we all knew we were living in a simulation, right? Hey, when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, burying the hatchet is not what the deep state wants President Trump and Michael Cohen to do. But yesterday on WABC Radio, they did, and now the freak out. Next on the Wendy Bell radio program. Yeah, I take all of that a little bit personally. We're going to also then partner with all these influencers in these campaigns. We're going to put up public service announcements that all of the media that are bought and paid for by Pfizer and Moderna and all of them, they can all parrot the same things, right? And they can tell you, you're not supposed to do your own research. Don't think for yourself. All you need to do is shut the hell up and go get the shot. Duh. That's scary. That's the mentality in Pittsburgh that has me looking at other pastures. That. And I guess I'm like the only one of very few willing to stand up and say it in the city. Which is why they were like, you want to run for mayor? Hell no. Mm-hmm. Hell no. I want to be able to get on a very fast move out of here. Isn't that a shame? My husband is a great doctor. I am a good neighbor. We give a lot of money to people in this city, a lot of taxes. We've done a lot of good. It's not worth it. And when that base moves out, the city is going to absolutely go down the shitter. And that hurts me.
We know where it won't go.
Uh-oh.
Down the roundabout.
It's unbelievable. I'll have to pull up a picture of it because it's just ridiculous. All right, who do we want to talk about, Brock? What do we
I don't know, but the roundabout is such a thing. What's the word?
Drive
Analogy.
It. You drive it.
Yeah, it's such an analogy for government.
Yeah.
They change things and gum it all up.
We're going to fix stuff that's not broken. We're going to take things that run smoothly and we're going to jack it all up and piss you off.
Who puts a bike lane on a hill that's like 4 miles long?
And it's like this.
Yeah. Bike lane.
What you should have is like an AED stand at the top, right?
That would make more sense.
We'll have a defibrillator for you if you make it.
I did half of the hill because I live halfway up the hill one time. I sat on my front stoop because my legs were so shot. Kate opens the door. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
I can't make it in.
I can't stand up.
I can't make it in. I could crawl.
I sat there for about 20 minutes.
But now even for the freaking cyclists, it's ridiculous. Literally, you're in the Olympics and you're doing the downhill slalom. That's what it is.
Well, hell, now I sweat just driving up it.
It's terrible. Anyway, let me talk to you guys about. Who do we want to talk about, Brock? Give me somebody.
Sniper.
Let me tell you about Harmony with Sniper. Disinfectwithsniper.com. You know, having stuff that works, that kills bugs and stuff that ruins your flowers and vegetables and your plants, that isn't toxic, not just to you, but the environment, the plants, your animals, your family. Organic insect control, whether it's you have ants in your house, right? You have aphids on your tomatoes, right? Whatever it is, you can spray this and kill it and be done with it, right? And not worry about, now I need a hazmat wash down, right? Disinfectwithsniper.com, hospital grade antibacterial. It's the greatest freaking thing you'll ever have in your house. 20% off through the end of this month. This is there too. You're already there. Throw it in your basket. You're welcome. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Oh my gosh, I forgot to take my...
And it's 20% off.
Sniper. I forgot to take my Healthy Cell.
Again?
I'm taking... I did.
You might need to take Calm because you were a little feisty at the beginning.
Okay. You know, I wish I could explain to you how taking this Calm one from Healthy Cell, this is the microgel that's 165% more absorbable than normal supplements. And the objective is to easily digest it, get it down to your cells, blood cells. Yes, 100%. This Calm, if you ever know you're walking into a situation that has the ability to have you flip out and you're like, I just need to decompress before I even do this. This is actually my favorite flavor too. It's the berry lemon. It's really delicious. That's the extent of it. You know, some people don't like taking pills. They have a hard time swallowing them. You don't have to worry about it. All of the things in here you're going to read about, the ingredients, things you hear about in nature, like echinacea. You're like, I know what that is. Beautiful stuff, right? It talks about melatonin, talks about a bunch of different stuff. All of these different supplements. The big change, game changer, is the delivery method, and that's the microgel. Healthy Cell. You'll always remember it. healthycell.com/Wendy. 20% off your first order. Put a bunch of jazz in there. I go with REM sleep. I literally am now getting to a point where I enjoy how I feel regardless of how much sleep I get, so much that every single night about a half hour before I go to bed, I take a REM sleep. And the rest is history. And it's consistent. Fall asleep, stay asleep, wake up feeling great. REM sleep. It's also with healthycell.com/Wendy. All right, what's our number? We have to do a rumble check, follow check, whatever we want to call it. Are we breaking the internet? 3,000.
131.
So we've gotten 8. Okay. We need to do better than that. If you're over, 158 watching on X. That's good for us with our new.
If you're watching on X and have a Rumble page.
Do you have a Rumble page if you're on X? And if you do, would you please jump over and follow us? Please, because that's going to I really want to celebrate this with you guys because this has been a 5-year labor of love with you guys.
Yeah.
Brock calls it a slog. I said it was a labor of love. But that's just the
220,
the lover in me.
220, 221, whatever it takes.
What is that? Why have you said that before?
Mr. Mom.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program, Friday edition. I know you guys miss us over the weekend. You should. I just planted that seed. So now you're going to be like, you know what? I could really go for a little bit of Wendy right now. And I'm like, I know. Oh, what were you going to say, Brock? You were going to say something.
I said nothing.
Mm-hmm. So we want to talk about this Michael Cohen thing. You know, I look at Michael Cohen. This is the guy who was in Trump's orbit during his first election. And for many years prior to that, he was a part of the Trump, not just administration, but the business, the Trump business, the name. And Michael Cohen's the one who facilitated the payment. What is it? $180,000, something like that, to Stormy Daniels, whoever that lady was. And Donald Trump both signed letters acknowledging that there was no sexual malfeasance. There's nothing that was done. And he basically was paying her, go away. Please just, I'm rich and I know you want to get my money. Just go away. Leave me alone. Well, then Michael Cohen would testify. He'd be captured by the deep state and by Letitia James and Alvin Bragg, as we're now hearing, to go before Congress and testify and call Donald Trump terrible things, which he did. Okay. And then what happens? There's this hush money indictment trial, one of the four ways they tried to bog down the president, the same way Democrats are trying to bog down Pittsburgh with the stupid roundabouts, right? We're going to make it so hard for you. We're going to gum you up in lawfare. You're not going to know what hit you. We're going to drain your money dry. We're going to tarnish your image. Who cares if anything's true or proven? The damage will be undeniable. Well, about that, all of a sudden, now, after many, many years of trading barbs and being kind of like arch enemies, there's this, I don't know, olive branch, this meeting in the middle, this can we let bygones be bygones? Michael Cohen steps forward and says, you know what? I have kind of a bombshell to drop on everybody. And I lied. I made up stuff about this president and I testified about it under oath because I felt coerced. I felt like if I didn't do what Letitia James and Alvin Bragg asked me to do and say, I wouldn't basically get a softer sentence or I wouldn't have a future. I want you to hear per Fox. This is the story that broke yesterday. As Michael Cohen flips, he says that Alvin Bragg and Letitia James pressured and coerced him starting in 2019, mind you, to give testimony tailored to secure a conviction and a judgment against Donald Trump. And he said he did so in an effort to reduce his own criminal sentence for lying before Congress. Listen.
Michael Cohen, who was once considered a star witness, now says prosecutors pushed him to fit a predetermined narrative against then presidential candidate Donald Trump. Cohen, who was President Trump's personal lawyer for many years, wrote in a Substack post that from the time he began meeting with prosecutors in the Manhattan DA's office and the New York Attorney General's office, he felt, quote, pressured and coerced to only provide information and testimony that would satisfy the government's desire to build the cases against and secure a judgment and convictions against President Trump. Cohen also wrote in part, quote, Letitia James and Alvin Bragg may not share the same office or political calendar, but they share the same playbook. Both use their platforms to elevate their profiles, to claim the mantle of the officials who took down Trump. Cohen, who served prison time for fraud and lying to Congress, described why he initially cooperated in the hush money and civil fraud cases against Trump, writing that he was hoping for sentence relief. Cohen's explosive comments come as the president continues his effort to move the hush money case into federal court from state court. In the post, Cohen suggested that he's not trying to defend the president, but instead wants to shed light on, quote, what happens behind closed doors long before a jury ever hears a word.
I think we're kind of bucking for a pardon. Is that where I'm feeling this is going there, Brock? You feel that?
That's what I think, that he wants a pardon.
Yeah.
And this is the best way.
Right. This is called weaponization, you guys. Everything the Democrats say that Donald Trump, Todd Blanche, the DOJ, Kash Patel, John Ratcliffe, CIA, all of them are doing. Every time the Democrats say that this administration is weaponizing against its enemies. No. They're exposing that so that it can't freaking happen again. 4 short years to clean up the rot, to expose the fraud, to show everybody the warfare, the lawfare. That's weaponizing, ladies and gentlemen. Do you guys remember what Michael Cohen said before Congress? Because we do. We found that clip for you. This is what he said. He said President Trump was basically a lousy human being, and he should know he was in his inner orbit for like 15, 16 years. Listen.
Never in a million years did I imagine, when I accepted a job in 2007 to work for Donald Trump, that he would one day run for the presidency, to launch a campaign on a platform of hate and intolerance, and actively win. I regret the day I said yes to Mr. Trump. I regret all the help and support I gave him along the way. I am ashamed of my own failings and publicly accepted responsibility for them by pleading guilty in the Southern District of New York. I am ashamed of my weakness and my misplaced loyalty, of the things I did for Mr. Trump in an effort to protect and promote him. I am ashamed that I chose to take part in concealing Mr. Trump's illicit acts rather than listening to my own conscience. I am ashamed because I know what Mr. Trump is. He is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat.
And so now Michael Cohen is like, yeah, that's not true. I was basically forced to say that. Oopsies. CNN legal expert Eli Honig, he's like, what? This whole hush money case against Donald Trump just totally collapsed, right? He's like, this is the most unbelievable thing because one of two things is happening here, and neither of them points to a guilty President Trump. Listen.
Anyone who cheered that hush money prosecution of Donald Trump 2 years ago has nothing left to stand on because now the star witness, the guy who is the reason why every prosecutor who looked at this case, including the Biden DOJ, the prior liberal Democratic DA, passed on charging this case, is because they didn't trust Michael Cohen beyond a reasonable doubt. Alvin Bragg rolled that dice, and now Michael Cohen has said publicly that he, quote, felt pressured and coerced by prosecutors. So where do you stand on Michael Cohen now? If you believe he's a truth teller, then he felt pressured and coerced by prosecutors. That's not acceptable. If you believe he's a liar, then your case is built on a liar. So that case is going through its appeal process incredibly slowly. I think there are major legal infirmities with it, but now the factual predicate has collapsed as well.
So Michael Cohen has now demolished the entire factual basis of the hush money prosecution and conviction of President Trump. Just like that. And now, to add insult to injury to the deep state, who used Michael Cohen, who himself is untrustworthy, we know, but like George Santos, who's been tried, convicted, punished, and come out the other side, you almost trust them more than you trust your average Capitol Hill loser, right? Now, Michael Cohen reached out to the president and says, hey, I've got this hour-long show on WABC, and I'm going to come out and admit some stuff. I'd like to bury the hatchet with you. What do you think? This is the worst news. This is worse news than Eric freaking Swalwell basically being swarmed by the FBI and having every electronic he's owned confiscated from him yesterday. This is horrible. And this is the president on with Michael Cohen last night.
I want to go back to 2016 if we can, because you and I have obviously traveled a pretty rocky road together. Do you remember, sir, when I went on CNN with Breonna Keeler and she told me that you were underwater in the polls, and I responded with those famous 2 words, says who, which became some worldwide meme.
A good advocate, and then they weaponized you like nobody's ever been weaponized, like few have been.
Well, maybe just you and I, sir.
And you, yeah, me too, but I don't consider mine, mine was at a level that nobody's ever seen before. But they weaponized you. They weaponized a lot of people. And I respect the fact that you recanted Everything you said, and that's a big thing that you did. That's a very big thing.
Sir, you may remember.
The country.
You may remember that following morning you called me into the office after, and then you gave me one of those traditional Trump slaps on the shoulder, and you said to me, "F them. You're stronger than them. We've got this." Now, the funny thing is that CNN never apologized. They never retracted anything. And now, years later, CNN, MS Now, and the other left-leaning outlets, they're doing the exact same thing.
Did you already said I respect the fact that you recanted? I mean, of all people on planet Earth who have reason to hold a grudge, who have reason to be vindictive, who have reason to be sneaky and retaliatory, who have reason to delight in the demise of the enemy. He's like, thank you for making the record clear. Preach. Now, whether you believe any of this, that's fine. But then there's another clip, which is interesting. And it kind of sure sounds like Brock was alluding to, sort of this suck-uppery for a pardon, perhaps, as Cohen and Trump discuss dishonest polls and the always negative news. Listen.
So maybe what we should do is then have a press conference and literally put out all of the accomplishments, because what's happening... Boss, you remember when I was by your side? I literally used to analyze the polls, right? And you remember how much attention that I used to pay to that methodology? I would come in, I would say to you, oh, you know, they're claiming that you're 31%, that you're underwater, but I showed you that
the polls are crooked. The polls are...
Exactly.
So the reporters, as you know, are crooked, but many of them. You have some great ones, too, but for the most part, it's really dishonest.
But the sample
reporting.
size
When
is
you
roughly...
When you read the New York Times, it's so dishonest. When you read these things, and they're not doing well. Look, the reason they're not doing well is because they've lost a lot of credibility. And now you do have great journalists. You do have great reporters also. Many people are very good. Very, very good. I could name them, but by naming them, I'll leave some out. But you also have a lot of people that see how good things are with the economy is a renaissance. There's never been anything like it.
Michael Cohen called Donald Trump a racist and a con man. A racist and a con man. And President Trump gives him the grace of basically groveling for a pardon. I don't know if he'll get it, ladies and gentlemen. But this is yet another one of the allegations against President Trump. Now let's do E. Jean Carroll, because that was just insulting to everybody with eyes. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, he called it the impossible reunion. Michael Cohen actually is an awful lot like George Santos. And I want to explain that as I read a Substack that Cohen put out in advance of his sit down with the president. It's actually very, very intriguing. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. He's actually a very good writer. Michael Cohen is. You know, I don't have a price. I've never been offered, let's just say this. I've never been in the position where either something was so horrible and I needed to sell my soul to the devil in order for that horrible to go away. Or, right? Or I've never even had anybody approach me with that kind of an offer. What's the amount? Is it $5,000? To somebody, yeah. It wouldn't be to me. Is it $10,000? No. Is it $100,000? No. Is it $1 million? Well, what are you talking about? Right? I don't know what Michael Cohen's whole thing was. But he made decisions that were the wrong decisions, and he paid the price for it. And now he's come out, he did his time, and he's apologized, and he's told the truth, he says, and now it's up to us to either believe it or not. But I can tell you that Alvin Bragg sure looks like a schmuck, and so does Letitia James. I want to tell you about Blood Flow 7. I finished one of these at home, so I'm glad I had this here. I'm going to take this.
Mine at home, too.
I'm going to take this to Cedar Point. I take my Blood Flow 7 with me wherever I go. I take my capsules every single day. I don't want to go without it because I feel that good. I feel that alert. I feel that strong. I feel no matter how tired I am that I can do just about anything and do it pretty well. And when it comes to physical activity, if you think you've slowed down a little bit, you won't after you take bloodflow7.com. Made from our friends, by our friends at Juvenon. They give our audience an exclusive 30% off. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. I mean, it takes the supplement. It's nitric oxide. It's a molecule, gas molecule, essentially, that when you take it, it makes your blood vessels relax. And so when they relax and soften, more blood gets through your blood vessels. Increase blood flow to your brain, to your heart, to everything. You feel it. And you feel it in a big way, right? Bloodflow7.com. Love them /Wendy. Give it a shot. Less than $1 a day. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. So Brock said that even though you guys had sent in some fantastic good news options, Brock was particular about one that we should air today because of my story about Christopher and getting pinched by the fuzz. So it's a replay, but it's completely.
But it's been over a year.
It's completely worthwhile, and the frequent flyers among you will know it. We
never heard how Chris responded when you told him.
He groaned at the thought of driving school, traffic school, which was true. I mean, I would too, but I was like, shut up. I had to actually go to the Boulder Municipal Center. You're doing it from your freaking dorm room on your computer. So I'm sure that's going to cost, but he's like, I'm going to get this done before the weekend. So I bet you by 3 o'clock this afternoon, he will have completed the course that he needs to submit so that his obligation for this, other than feeling terrible, and he's going to be $500 poorer.
That's the kick in the.
I'll split this with you, bud, but I'm not. Yeah, it's not my responsibility. You don't want to have to do this. Well, you don't want to put people in danger is the big. Have fallen hard, who have been publicly humiliated, who've become basically reduced to a laughing stock shell of whatever they thought they previously were. People like Michael Cohen, who step forward and become the real truth tellers, the people through whom you kind of get the real story. I was not banking on him being a good writer at all. But the story that we played before this, Fox News talking about Michael Cohen saying, look, I said stuff because I was coerced by 2 prosecutors, rabid, left, whack job, Soros-funded prosecutors, Alvin Bragg, DAs, and Letitia James to say things about President Trump that were not true. I lied, and I'm sorry. And oh my gosh, I want to read to you, though, right? I want to read to you what he wrote on his own Substack, Michael Cohen, announcing this WABC sit down last night with President Trump. It's actually really worth hearing. So here's what it says. It's called The Impossible Reunion. 8 years of silence, hundreds of thousands of headlines, 15 years of history fractured in an instant. And somehow, against almost every expectation, here we are. Since yesterday's announcement broke my inbox again of him being coerced by James and Bragg. My inbox has once again become a digital battlefield. It's been flooded with hatred, anger, disbelief, and some of the most spectacularly vicious things imaginable. People are furious. People are bewildered. And apparently quite a few are ready to personally escort me to the gates of hell for daring to share a microphone with Donald Trump again. Honestly, some of it's almost too absurd to believe, right? So then he goes in, he's got some biblical stuff, but I'm going to skip to this. People keep asking me the same question. How is this possible? How can two men who spent years in a very public war, who hurled verbal missiles across an enormous legal and political canyon, ever sit down together again? The answer is actually much simpler than people want it to be. We forgave. Not because the past didn't happen, not because the scars disappeared, not because every disagreement suddenly became irrelevant, and certainly not because I have forgotten anything. I haven't. Forgiveness doesn't require amnesia. It requires the courage to stop allowing yesterday to dictate tomorrow. Our society has become addicted to permanent outrage. We collect grievances like baseball cards. We nurse grudges, polish them, display them proudly, and sometimes build our entire identities around the people we hate. We have somehow convinced ourselves that refusing to forgive is strength. It isn't. Sometimes it's simply another form of captivity. Donald Trump and I spent roughly 15 years, Michael Cohen writes, in the trenches together. We built relationships, shared victories, endured setbacks, and pursued a path that ultimately reached the highest office on earth. And then everything exploded. The friendship fractured, trust disappeared, the relationship became ammunition. The world watched as two people who had once been extraordinarily close became combatants in one of the most public political implosions imaginable. There were lawyers, investigations, television cameras, headlines, and there were betrayals. And there was an entire country more than happy to turn our relationship into a political blood sport. But underneath all of that remained something neither of us could completely erase: history. 15 years doesn't simply vanish because the relationship becomes toxic. The memories don't disappear. And good times don't cease to have existed because the bad times came afterward. Eventually, both of us had to confront a question that is far more difficult than deciding who was right. Was the past going to own the future? And for me, the answer became no. Loyalty doesn't mean pretending someone never hurt you. Forgiveness doesn't mean surrendering your principles. Reconciliation doesn't mean rewriting history. It means deciding that your history doesn't have to end with your worst chapter. And frankly, it takes far more courage to extend a hand across the divide than it does to throw stones from behind a keyboard. Today at 6 p.m., it's believed was impossible that the two of us will sit down and have a discussion. No carefully choreographed political theater, no army of handlers, no convenient talking points, just two people confronting 15 years of history and finding out whether something once considered unbreakable can survive something that nearly destroyed it. Can loyalty survive the ultimate fallout? Can friendship survive betrayal? Can two people who once stood together at the summit, then spent years tearing each other apart, actually find their way back to common ground? I don't know what tomorrow will look like, he said, but I know this: I'm willing to find out. Listen, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to like Donald Trump. You don't even have to believe that forgiveness is possible. But listen before you judge. Because history isn't made only through elections, wars, betrayals, and political bloodletting. Sometimes history is made in a much quieter way. Sometimes the most extraordinary act of courage isn't winning the fight. It's deciding that the fight doesn't have to last forever. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, when the deep state goes after whistleblowers, you know you are over the mark. What are you doing, Lisa Murkowski? Next. Wasn't that surprisingly glib, verbose, moving, appropriate, big? That's just not the world we live in. For what's-his-face, Cohen, to step up and say he's sorry and that he lied.
How many times could that solve a problem, though?
And then for Trump...
I was wrong.
And then for Trump to take the call and hear it. He has no need to go on WABC. He could just bask in the satisfaction that what he'd been saying through his lawyers for years was true. He didn't have sex with Stormy Daniels. He didn't pay her to hide it. It was blown up as warfare, as weaponization against him. But he did. He went on and he gave Michael Cohen that grace, which I think is fascinating. All right, let's talk about, what do we want to talk about? I got so much to talk about. We did those, so I can get out of that. I don't know. Maybe it provides hope. And yeah, I'm as guilty as the next person. I hold some really unfortunate and immature grudges. And I wish I was a better person. I could let stuff go. But you know what? If somebody came up to me and said, let's say my sister, you guys have followed that. If my sister came up to me and she's like, you know what? I'm so sorry. I'm not so sure I would need any edification. I wouldn't have to go over the, chapter and verse, what hurtful things were said or done, how during times what I could have needed her, but those two words, I'm sorry. Now the onus is on the person who receives it. Yes. What are you going to do with it? Let me tell you, if you're like I am and you're getting to that age where you're tired an awful lot, where you feel bloated a lot, especially after you eat, you get that uncomfortable, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm 8 months pregnant feeling, and no amount of water seems to help you out. I want to tell you about something that's interesting, because there's a doctor out there, Dr. Josh, who has developed something. And I don't give you a lot of details about it because I really want you, if this sounds interesting to you, to research it as well. He said you could be showing the signs of a dehydrated liver, not dehydrated like I need to drink more water, but that you actually aren't getting hydration to your liver. And that isn't a water thing. Most people think hydration is just about water, but there's something that Dr. Josh said. The liver is your body's main hydration organ. And if the liver cells aren't getting water at the cellular level, right? Cellular level, we talk about that a lot. It doesn't matter how many glasses a day you drink, the water just kind of runs right through you. And when your liver is dehydrated, your energy tanks, your digestion slows down, you bloat, you hold on to stubborn weight, your skin looks poopy, and you feel older than you are. And it doesn't have to be like that. And so Dr. Josh was like, do you want to try it? It's a powder, you stick it in your water. And I'm going to tell you right now, I will tell you the number one thing that I have experienced after drinking, drinkltv.com. drinkltv.com/Wendy. And it is what? Up to 64% off right now. drinkltv.com/Wendy. I don't get that uncomfortable bloating. That is definitely something that I used to suffer from. And it would encourage me not to eat too much. It's not that I was necessarily full, and that's why I stopped eating. I was just like packed. And I felt like I could never eat and wear like an evening gown. I'd be like, boing, boing, right? This makes it so much easier. And I think it does clean up your digestion and helps you move stuff. It is a great product. It's a product that you stick in water, drink it down. It's delicious. It's got a citrusy flavor to it. drinkltv.com/Wendy. Who knows? Maybe your liver is dying. Telling you about it too.
Maybe that's what I should start drinking that.
I'm sold on it. I got to be honest with you. I mean, I notice it when I wake up too, depending on sometimes what you eat. You could feel like you're really big and bloated in the morning. And I just have not had that. And you feel so much better when you don't have that lugged around with you. This is what it looks like. LTV, hydration, liver support. Look, I just tried it because I'm like, I don't know. But I can tell you, digestion-wise, 100%. 100%.
Maybe I'm going to try that.
Do you want... I need to send her an email because I need more of it. I literally want more of it. I know I was drinking...
I've been feeling bloated lately.
Oh my gosh, then you have to take these.
Ooh.
Have you seriously?
Yeah.
Well, here, take a couple for the weekend. I'll put them over here. I'd be very interested to see how you would feel. Well, I approach these things with an open mind because I have no idea. So what do you guys think about Michael Cohen? I appreciated those words. I think he's a very good writer, and I think that his voice is one that's interesting to pay attention to. Like George Santos, who then came out and started working on behalf of inmates because he's like, look, it is diabolical in there. It is so corrupt and so unhealthy. You know, sometimes that terrible slap in the face ends up doing huge things for you. Hi, Quantum, Chromo, Dynam. Hi, A Fusco. Hi, Maga Hag. Hi, Party Foul and Donna Marie. What's going on? But I'm going to talk to people who are talking to me in the comments. See,
and if you're a new follow, drop that you just followed.
Yeah, let us know if you're new.
I mean, we're still 128 away.
Oh, Darius, to offset Shriss's illegal activities in Virginia.
It's Chris now. He's
of age. No, I appreciate that. That means he's a P1er. He understands the days of minors when Shriss and Schmobby, we hid their names so nobody knew.
He can pay some of the fines I probably have outstanding.
Wow. Hi, guys. It's great to be with you. Tell me if you're new.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. Trump, 75 million, 80 million votes. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going anywhere. Even if Trump does, you're not. They can't separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is live. You know what? I have a soft spot for whistleblowers. I have a very soft spot for people who know something is wrong and have the huevos to stand up and say it. And I also have a visceral reaction when having that courage to tell the truth and blow the whistle ends up in you losing your job, you losing your pension, you losing something for having the audacity to do what very few other people do. I was a whistleblower. I worked for a company for 1 year, straight out of graduate school. I worked for King World Productions. That was the parent company of Inside Edition. Remember that show with Bill O'Reilly back in the day? And Nancy Glass, that was American Journal. I was hired as a traveling reporter, a Gen X reporter, to travel the country and tell stories from my generation's perspective. And I had a producer who was an alcoholic, chain smoking, 68-year-old cretin. He was disgusting. He was a sexual harasser chronically, and he was not fit in any capacity to travel with anybody, let alone a younger female reporter. And it was gross. And he said things in front of interviews that were reprehensible. So I went through the chain of command to his boss, my boss, and nothing. And I went up the ladder to the next person, nothing. And I went and I went and I went. And I said, hey, you guys don't know what's going on. This is terrible. And they fired me. Guys, I've been fired all over the place, right? Fired for blowing the whistle when somebody who puts your corporation in legal peril. And I knew it was all mumbo jumbo when Gloria Allred said she would take my case. It only took about, $15,000 to settle the case, make me go away, which just happened to be enough money after I paid her cut, to pack up my apartment in New York City. I had to buy a car, move to St. Louis, and start a new job. Never knew how blessed I was for that to happen. My flashback is just to back up how I feel about whistleblowers. It's not easy to do that. And when you have information that it's dangerous, usually to you. It shouldn't be that way. There's a problem with whistleblowers in this country right now, ladies and gentlemen. We've got in California, we have the California General Assembly there voting to pass the Stop Nick Shirley Act to punitively and financially slap anybody who's a reporter who decides to uncover fraud that has to do with immigration or all of the social services surrounding it. Why would you want to go after the whistleblowers? Because you're criminal. And in this instance, which is kind of delicious, it's wild to have a sitting Republican senator going after a whistleblower who has exposed that in her state of Alaska, they really need to pass the freaking Save America Act. So why is Senator Lisa Murkowski such a firm no on it? Because she is the problem. So did you guys hear what James O'Keefe did, formerly of Project Veritas, right? He was blowing the whistle, and so they squeezed him out like everybody else, So he started something else, OMG, O'Keefe Media Group, and he goes out and uncovers things. And he went to Alaska during Alaska's primary, which was Tuesday. And he and his crew go out there, and he's dressed like anybody else. He has a KN95 mask on to conceal his face. He's wearing glasses and a ball cap. And he proceeds to go into this polling location and pose as Lisa Murkowski's brother. And guess what happened? James O'Keefe got Lisa Murkowski's brother's ballot. Now, Lisa Murkowski's pissed. That's an imposter. That's voter fraud. You can't go in there and misrepresent yourself. That's actionable. You need to be prosecuted. Oh, yeah? Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up, Lisa. Because we know of at least 250,000 illegal aliens in 4 states who voted in 2020 in our elections. We know that. So why aren't you horny for those people to not be doing the same thing? Let's read the story. James O'Keefe offered Senator Lisa Murkowski's brother's ballot at Anchorage polling station with no ID required. Isn't it funny how she wants him to be prosecuted because he exposed the holes in the system? James O'Keefe on Thursday released undercover video of an Anchorage, Alaska poll worker offering him Senator Lisa Murkowski's brother's ballot. Recall that Rhino Murkowski is one of the senators who opposed the Save America Act and has the entire time. No ifs, ands, or buts. It makes it too hard for people in remote places and islands around my neighborhood to vote. And so that disenfranchisement is a no vote for me. And we're all like, pal. But unlike you and myself, who sit here and can criticize, James O'Keefe decided to make the trip to Alaska and prove how porous the system is. In fact, after he was given Lisa Murkowski's brother's ballot, he went on camera to capture what else happened behind the scenes. It's worth hearing this, I think. Listen.
They said that I can fill out a questionable person's ballot, and they're all just trying to figure things out, huh? I said, I can vote, Brian Murkowski can vote. She's like, yes, you can vote. So we got it. We got offered Brian Murkowski's ballot to vote. The brother of Senator Lisa Murkowski wearing this face mask.
Senator Lisa Murkowski remains the holdout vote on the SAVE Act. She has a lot of reasons for opposing the SAVE Act, including it's going to disenfranchise people who live on these remote islands in Alaska. So we went to those islands and talked to those people, and they contradicted everything that the senator has said about the people who live on those islands
unable to get an ID. And that's coming up next. Right before we published this report, we did in fact get a statement from Senator Lisa Murkowski's office. Quote, Murkowski has consistently supported the requirement of photo ID to vote, and earlier this month she voted in favor of a separate measure on the Senate floor to do just that. However, the Save America Act is an overly burdensome one-size-fits-all mandate from Washington. It would be impossible to implement in time for this election and would likely disenfranchise thousands of eligible Alaskan voters. In any case, voter impersonation is a crime and should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, unquote. It should be noted that we did not actually impersonate any voters in this report. We just asked questions and posed hypotheticals.
You know, the responsible, mature, and expected thing for the senator to do, Lisa Murkowski, is to come forward and say, I understand your point. I understand what you were trying to do. And you've exposed one of umpteen loopholes, which, again, you've proven need to be closed so we can guarantee only American citizens are deciding the people who are supposed to lead this country. And because of that, I am changing my no to a yes vote on the Save America Act. That would be the responsible thing to do. That would curry more favor for the rhino that everybody dislikes. The Democrats don't like her, and the Republicans don't either. How do you get rid of a rhino? I don't know. You got to vote him out, of course, if you count on that stuff. See, President Trump did what the deep state would never do. He offered grace. He offered an olive branch. He extended his hand to Michael Cohen and said, let's move forward. Hey, Lisa, let's move forward, shall we? Instead of going after those who blow the whistle on the fraud and the obvious porous nature of our highly hackable, and we're talking about that coming up, election system. Why didn't you just do what you had to do? Join us. Unless, of course, you know that means you'll never win again. Then there's that. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, isn't it also disappointing? Isn't it also off-putting? It's gross, right? I want to like loofah my mouth. It's so gross. Well, here's a bit of a pickle. I wonder what you guys think about this. Which one would you get behind? Do you support a black guy who was a total DEI fraud and killed himself after word got out that he was a serial plagiarist and a liar? Or the white anti-woke blogger who exposed the black guy as being the Milli Vanilli of academia? Oh, this whistleblower is about to get axed. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's such a sad story, right? I mean, we create these victims, and in order to get any kind of attention, they have to have their victim status elevated. It has to keep worse and worse and more. Well, not only did I fall out of a plane and survive, I was burned in oil, and I was chased by wolves, and you're like no. And they create a victim who believes his own fake fame. And when his plagiarism and lies come out, it's our fault. It's our fault for being like, about that thesis that you wrote, that doctoral thesis, it's kind of important. Why did you plagiarize it? Should that person be a professor at Cambridge? I'm going to go with no. No. All right, tulip blooms. Here's something that I've discovered about tulip blooms. Usually, after I go to the beach and I get a really good tan, and I did recently, I'll come home and in about 3 or 4 days, I mean, a tan is basically your skin is dead and it's dark, and so you lose it, it fluffs right up, sloughs off. I use tulip blooms on my body, and I haven't even had the slightest inkling towards peeling. It's almost like whatever moisture my skin needed, it got from the very specific blends that I use, body butter and the massaging oils. They are phenomenal for moisture on your skin. If you want the softest, most beautiful skin you've ever had, tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. You've got a rough part of your body. Your elbows are dry. Your hands are all dry. They crack in the fall and the winter, and they bleed. Mine do. My feet, you can get calluses that are awful. You put some tulip blooms on, put on a sock. See ya. Come home from work, take off your socks, and you'll be like, oh my goodness. 10% off, tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. Their stuff is off the grid. Just going to tell you that. Off the grid. You know what I could go for? This is usually what we do on Fridays, right?
Steak.
I could go for Kennywood's cheese and gravy and like bacon fries. How about just gravy fries? Doesn't that sound good? Maybe with a little bit of cheese on top and little bacon bits. Doesn't that sound delicious? Fatty Bobalatti wants that. Ain't gonna have it. Ain't gonna do it.
Now, steak.
Mm-hmm.
Good
You're
steak.
looking good.
No,
You
15.
are looking 15.
Yeah.
I do notice it here. You know, and I told you this. Another place where I notice it on you is here and here.
Yeah, my favorite shirt,
Uh-huh.
my favorite golf shirt is now too big.
Isn't that amazing? We'll talk more about that down the road.
You didn't even ask what my favorite golf shirt was.
My Tennessee shirt. Yeah.
The orange one.
I know, with little doggy on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The
Gotta
other
get
one
you a
fits
belt,
now.
probably. Get you a belt. Brock is proof of concept. So we're going to examine his proof. The one thing I like about Brock, though, is if he commits to you, he's going to do it. He's going to do it, and he's not going to fudge it. And no, you've done really, 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 really well. Why are you saying no to me? Who's saying no? Hold on, I have to expand my screen here because you guys aren't on it. Let's see. Wendy, no. Who said that? Ba, 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 ba. Maxwell. What? Oh, you don't like my gravy? Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. You know, this week, I'm not so sure, has been a sadder story than this guy, Jason Arday, who University of Cambridge is really elevated as their youngest Black professor. Oh my gosh, this guy is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then it would come out that he plagiarized his doctoral thesis, that he would make up so many of the elements of his life. And it seemed like the more traction he gained, the more outrageous the stories were. That he ran, 30 marathons in 30 days? If that's not one that makes you go, what? Literally everything else about this guy was a hyped up farce. And then somebody caught wind of it. In fact, a couple people caught wind of it. And I want to read you this because before the unfortunate suicide of Jason Arday, after the walls close in on him, no, he's not the brightest 41-year-old and youngest Black professor at Cambridge. He was a figment of creation. They want that narrative so bad that it doesn't matter the collateral damage. Jason Arday made a million decisions in this process, but I want to read you this article because the whistleblower who was the one who alerted Cambridge and was like, yo, I put this cat's doctoral thesis in this AI program. And this is what they do in schools all across America now to search for plagiarism, right? And there were literally chunks, huge chunks lifted from somebody else as a classmate's thesis with the same errors. Guy was a fraud. And now the whistleblower is getting fired. I want you to hear this. Academic who accused Jason Arday of plagiarism has now been suspended by his university. How dare you call out one of our people? We created that. That dude was epic box checking material. Don't forget that we played into a fantasy that's extraordinarily dangerous. And it's dangerous to the people who fall for it. And forget that the guy killed himself. We're going to blame you for exposing it. Because if you hadn't blown the whistle, here you go. I mean, it really is truly remarkable to me that this is where we are and that anybody out there should have any question whatsoever when it comes to DEI. Of course, now I'm behind a paywall and now they're not letting me get it. Can you imagine being a whistleblower and being white and being called racist because you called out somebody's fraud and that somebody is not white? Because that's what this story boils down to. It's like going after Gary Shapley and Joseph Ziegler. Remember them? They were the IRS whistleblowers who testified before Congress about the weaponization of the IRS against President Trump and conservatives. What happened to them? Stripped of their titles, reduced to zero, moved down into the bowels of the building punitively for blowing the whistle. And as I started telling you in this segment, having been a fired whistleblower myself, I have absolutely no patience for this. Absolutely none. There's another article I should read because this one is very interesting. Playbooks, plagiarism, and a pig's head. Jason Arde once said that the racism against him and his family was so bad, somebody left a severed pig's head on their doorstep that nobody else could corroborate, right? He was regarded an academic superstar, but then questions about his work prompted scrutiny of his backstory and counterclaims of racism, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. And he tried to call on his peers, Jason Arde did, to go after the whistleblower, said he was a target of racial attacks. I'm tired of people using the same boxes that they use to gain favor, entrance into colleges that they don't deserve to get into, positions on boards they have no knowledge or experience to be appointed to. And then when the truth about their either incompetence or the ridiculousness of their appointment to that position anyway, when all that comes out, the easiest clutch, the easiest thing to hold on to is racism. So this whistleblower in this case is going to lose his job as a professor, as a scholar himself. This man will be the collateral damage for telling the truth. Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen, because all of the truth that we want to come out is going to be involving these whistleblowers. And the more you see the knives come out, the more you know you are right over the mark. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, China. It wasn't just China, you guys. It wasn't just China that hacked our election rolls. The intelligence community knew about it, you guys. They said nothing about it to Donald Trump. They said nothing about it to Congress. And they said nothing about it to you and to me. And you know what happens now? We don't trust our elections. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So beyond aggravating. I'll open something up and then it'll let me read it. And then if I'm not subscribed to that site and I try to open it up again to read it to you, it puts me up against a paywall and I can't speak to you and add in my credentials at the time. So I beg your pardon. But this guy's story is super interesting and how he's going to be the one who gets called out. It's ridiculous. His name is Nathan Koffness. Nathan Koffness, a self-described race realist, was sacked by Cambridge's Emmanuel College in 2024 and underwent a disciplinary investigation into a blog post about Black academics. He was calling out the dangers of elevating people in higher education who themselves are not highly educated. It'd be like having a doctor in the operating room who's not qualified to be a surgeon or what have you, but because they checked boxes, well, and if they took off the wrong leg, you can't say that because if you do, you're a racist. That's what I say to that. Anyway, that's very aggravating to me. Let's talk about GLP-1 Gold. GLP-1 Gold, another one of those things. We're all watching people in our lives. We're watching Brock right now slim down before our eyes every single day. Some people are taking weight loss injections to do that, and it's certainly alluring. I can understand why everybody would want to do it because people will end up changing, transforming in a month. You're like, wow, that's fast. But if you're not interested in having those things in your body, there are other alternatives, which is why we have 2 or 3 different supplements that we really recommend. This one, GLP-1 Gold, I think its strong suit is in for a predictable chunk of time, absolutely crushing your appetite and your food cravings. That's what this does. And if you use this supplement as a daily thing and skip a meal, you're going to see on a slower level, but without injections, weight loss. This is for significant weight loss. This is not just for the weekend. Let's give it a shot. This is significant weight loss from our friends at Juvenon. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. 30% off everything. I've been using this, and I will tell you, it absolutely stops your hunger. It just does. And when you take it, I take it, I take it about 2 hours before I think I might eat. And either I eat something tiny or I skip it. Again, very affordable, about $1 a day. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. These are both going in my bag. I am interested if that LTV would help you. It's very interesting to me. Got Dan Ireland on the schedule for next Friday. That's all I care about. And he's so easy. I sent him
golf then.
Literally, I sent him. It's going to be later. I don't know. We'll have to see. Literally, I sent him a text. Hey, this patio project is done. We'd love to have you out to help me program some light zones and what have you. He's like, absolutely. I'm ready to rock and roll. And I'll get back to you with some dates. Literally, it was in an hour. He responded to me. Now I have his cell phone, and so I'm texting him. And you're not going to get that response unless you're fabulous. But Ireland Contracting, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. My man. Everybody's got a guy.
I'm over here looking at guns now.
Are you? Why? Because we're getting Jason a gun?
Yeah. And we were talking about earlier.
Well, you have itchy fingers for that stuff.
I like to look. I don't purchase very often, but I like to look.
Well, I mean, there's only so much you can get.
He mentioned a different gun to me today.
Oh, which kind?
A 308.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference? I mean, like, what kind of a gun is that? Is that a handgun?
No.
It's not. What's a 308? It's different. But how is it different? I don't mind showing you that I know nothing about this.
I don't really either. Bigger shells.
Is that right?
Bigger bullets, yeah. Probably more expensive.
Great. All right. I want to see what you guys are talking about over here in the comment section. Where are we with our 1.73? You know what? That's not bad. I would love, 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 love to come back in 2 minutes and have that be 2, but we used to be able to galvanize big movements, and I'm not so sure I've got that. Not so sure. 179 comments.
Who thinks I need a suppressor?
228 comments. Holy Moses. Listening to your show every day is a great way to start my day since you started 7 a.m. here in Arizona. Thank you, Astuto, too. Thank you very much. Thank you, Duke.
The high-powered 30 cal.
Frontline graphics. If the masses of society bypass God's word of forgiveness, then it's a prime example of humanity's current status. I don't disagree. Right. When did we become a society of punishing the messenger? Our gangness.
We've always been that.
Gangness.
You get punished for telling the truth. If it's personal, professional, or anything like that, people don't want to hear the truth sometimes. And when you tell them, you're the bad guy for telling them.
Hey, Griffin lady, I saw you yesterday. The testimony. I bought the Chef Man Iceman Slushies Max back in April. It is awesome, easy to use, easy to clean. I highly recommend. Shazam. Thank you, sweetness.
Wait for Margarita Friday.
It's going to be great. Going on below the surface that the mainstream media simply will not cover. That top Fauci lieutenant guy, Dr. David Morins, who pled guilty to a COVID cover-up. I mean, it is so giant, and they covered it not at all. Not even Newsmax. I think Fox News and PBS are the only two outfits that covered it, right? That was like going back to Jen Psaki. We heard that in the beginning of the show. Back in 2021, as she stood there and told the media that the administration, the Biden administration, was working actively with Facebook to censor and silence and take down people's posts. I mean, when you hear that now, it's like, holy cow. They tried to make that standard operating. They wanted that to be the new normal. They wanted all of this to be the new normal. It's absolutely freaking dizzying to me. But one of the biggest stories is uncovering the infiltration of our election systems by multiple foreign governments. It wasn't just China. What was it a couple months ago? We told you that 220 million voter records, voter rolls, voters in general, basically had their voting information compromised by China. 220 million. You're like, what? That's like all of us. That's just the beginning of the story, because this has been going on for a long, long time. And the intelligence community, which is kind of a term like the deep state, it's kind of thrown around haphazardly, but there's an actual definition of what the IC is, and I'm going to read it to you in just a second. They knew about it. They were flagged to it. They saw it happen in Venezuela. We had members of the CIA in Venezuela as Maduro and company were testing their technology, not in a live election, but in a mock-up, and were able to switch votes, dump votes, and replace them with fake votes and not be traced. Our intelligence community knew about that before the 2020 election. They said nothing because they needed Trump to lose. Because if Trump was to win, right, draining the swamp would have continued, and they couldn't stand that. That's disgusting. I want you to hear this, though. The White House kind of greased the skids on this actual bombshell report. I want to read this to you. There's a segment on the White House. There's a one-page. Again, transparency, telling you what's going on. It says election integrity. It's kind of important, all right? For years, Americans were blatantly lied to about the security of our election infrastructure, including electronic voting machines and ballot counting systems. And this release says we are releasing a series of previously classified U.S. intelligence community assessments and other reports proving that our government has known long ago, long and wide, that these machines are extremely exposed to attack. As one assessment states, we judge that U.S. adversaries, including at a minimum Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, as well as non-state groups, have the capacity, the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure. Hence, Save America Act. John Solomon is absolutely lighting things up with this because he joined the Epoch Times American Thought Leaders show to talk about these newly declassified documents alluded to in this White House one sheet, and that they're going to be dropping and they're going to be all over justthenews.com related to China gaining influence in a very important political institution to funnel money to the Biden campaign. And Solomon says the FBI may have been complicit. John Solomon now talks. He's like, look, we're not going back to investigate and relitigate 2020. This investigation is way more broad. How long has China been influencing our elections? And with the knowledge, of course, and the permission of the intelligence community. Listen to this.
Yeah, let me, I think a lot of people think because the first evidence had some 2020 that our goal was to look at the 2020 election. It wasn't. What we did is look at a 20-year window of intelligence about the security of our elections. Were foreigners interfering? Were domestic players interfering? Were there vulnerabilities that we know about that we had not fixed? So we look all the way from 2006, where the first warnings about Venezuela and compromisable vending machines started to flow to the CIA, all the way to 2026. The reason the year 2020 stands out is it was a big focal point of the president's speech, but only because it's in that year that some of the largest vulnerabilities in American election history are discovered during that election. And despite the fact that they're discovered, career people in the intelligence community made conscious decisions to keep that information from their president and their Congress and the American public.
And these people in the intelligence community kept vital election security information away from the president, President Trump, away from we the people, and they wore their treason like a badge of honor. John Solomon, number 2.
Intelligence officers bragging that they were withholding information from the president or from the Congress. They would use words like politics, or one of them boasted that they were running a shadow government to keep election intelligence from the president, the public, and the Congress. Others talked about it boggles the mind that we're going to keep the president in the dark on this. In a few days, we're going to release a document that shows just how high up the suppression of government intelligence about election threats was. It goes very high in the career infrastructure of the intelligence community. So all of it's flowing in, and for the first time in a very long time, the intelligence community is not reporting it to policymakers, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, the Congress, who, by the way, is partly in Democratic hands at that point. It's a very troubling trend line to see politics supplant national security as the reason whether or not something gets briefed to a president. There's a memo where you see one of these spy agencies bragging that we're massaging the PDB, i.e. the Presidential Daily Brief, the way that the president gets his intelligence every day, to keep out the election stuff. That is, as one person said, mind-boggling in their own emails. They were keeping our president, our voters, and our Congress in the dark.
Think about this. They were hiding extraordinarily important information from the president, and then they were concocting garbage narratives to try to sink him. That's called weaponization, ladies and gentlemen. That is what the left says President Trump and this administration is doing by exposing it. By the way, the intelligence community, there are about 18 U.S. government agencies and organizations that collect and analyze and share intelligence to support national security. And they hid all of this from the president. The CIA, the NSA, the FBI, the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, kind of a big deal. The NRO, National Reconnaissance Office, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. How many more do you want me to go? They knew that our systems had been hacked, and they said nothing. Now, does the capture of Nicolas Maduro make a bit more sense? Because Trump caught on to it, and now they've got the guy singing like a bird. John Solomon says, look, China bought and stole and hacked their way into our election system, and this deep state, this IC, let it happen.
That China began penetrating and collecting Americans' voter registration files. They bought some lawfully, they stole some illegally, and they hacked some illegally. They used all three tactics. And they eventually got enough information on 220 million voter registration files, enough to play mayhem. And the intelligence community saw this in January as being a threat, and by the spring, they realized the threat had become a reality. China had begun, but they didn't tell us. They didn't tell the states. They didn't alert states that were being targeted. And instead, China just kept vacuuming up information. In 2020, it's tens of millions of files in 18 states. By 2023, because no one spoke up, it got to 220 million. votes, and we believe in all 50 states. The intelligence community understood China's threat once they had accomplished this. They assessed that once China had a voter registration file, if you could get some of the non-public data that China got, you could go in and vote for me early. And then I would show up in the polls on election day, because maybe I'm an election day voter, and they would tell me, sorry, Mr. Solomon, you can't vote because you already voted. And it would have been China voting for you. China could have gone in and changed your address in the voter file. And you'd show up and say, here's my license. I'm like, sir, you're not at that license. You're registered over here. You can't vote, or the best you can do is vote provisionally, and maybe we will, or maybe we won't count you. And there were other nefarious things that China was in a position to do. Despite knowing what they could do, and despite knowing that they had that large data, they didn't inform the American public until President Trump did.
No whistleblowers. Interesting. And about Venezuela, by the way, our CIA watched them in a test election switch votes and cover up their tracks and make it untraceable. You don't say.
The first vulnerability was that our election counting machines were vulnerable to being hacked by 5 foreign powers. There were 5 foreign powers that had known cyber hacking capabilities that could breach known vulnerabilities on election machines. This is first assessed by the intelligence community in January. The first time the American public learns about it, July 26 from President Trump. The 5 powers are China, North Korea, Iran, Russia, and Venezuela. As the year goes on, the concern about those vulnerabilities became more pronounced. Why? Because in September of 2020, about 9 months after the assessment was made that there are machine vulnerabilities, CIA observed Venezuela conducting an experiment where they were able to successfully breach an election counting machine and change the votes. And by the way, change the vote counts without it being detectable in a post-audit or in a post-image review.
Wait a minute. Those are baseless claims. Wait a minute. Trump says that stuff without evidence, doesn't he? So wait a minute. So how are votes switched and then dumped so nobody can detect them? Well, John Solomon tells you.
How did they do that? They had an election machine with ballots and counts on it. As it was working its way up to the vote counting area, a mirror server was created. Somebody sucked the real votes off, placed fake votes in, and then sent them up so that when the audit occurred, the fake votes would be the only ballots you could see. You couldn't see the original ballots as they were casted by that. Now, that was in a controlled environment in Venezuela. It didn't happen during a real election. It happened during election testing. But its significance to the intelligence community was, hey, this isn't hypothetical anymore. Someone figured out a way to do this. And the CIA was extremely concerned about it. But guess what? Our president, our Congress, and the American people didn't get told. And for 6 more years, we went through thinking our machines weren't hackable when they were.
It's almost like you already knew all of that. At least your common sense did. There's no evidence. It was the safest, most secure election ever. When all the votes are counted, Joe Biden will be the winner. Huh. You don't say. Well, if you live in New Jersey, you are paying for something that may violate everything you believe in and hold dear, and you don't even know about it. Oh my gosh, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's so bad. It was so unsafe. It was so corrupt. It was so porous. It was so unbelievable. It was so uncertifiable that January 6th happened. That people came from Alaska, from Florida, from Texas and California, and a million of them descended on the United States Capitol, 1, to hear the president say goodbye, and 2, to hold out hope that they believed the Constitution actually still meant something. Because it is the obligation of the elected leaders of this country, our lawmakers, to hear us. Our right to redress, to petition for our grievances, to show them they shut it down and they needed the insurrection to shut the door on it. Period. But hey, at least you got your shots. That's all that matters. Right? MCT Wellness, Dr. Gundry. It's another one of those wonderful tools to have If you're already drinking water, why wouldn't you put a scoop of thehealthyfat.com/Wendy into it, right? It supports all sorts of wonderful things as it crushes your need to eat a lot. This is Dr. Gundry's offering. This is really his bread and butter in helping people lose weight. 70 pounds he lost. How do you lose 70 pounds with just a scoop of something in water? Well, it's got to be pretty good to stop you from eating and to stop you from thinking about eating. That's exactly what this does. MCT Wellness, 3 different flavors made by a cardiothoracic surgeon who says he not only lost 70 pounds, he's seen thousands of people lose life-changing weight simply by taking this dietary supplement. Thehealthyfat.com. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. I need to get more. I'm going to put together a care package. We need MCT Wellness. We need more LTV. Drink LTV. You need more Chuck juice, right? That's what I do.
I could drink
LTV
or MTC Wellness.
CT.
What's that?
MCT.
MTC. What did I say?
MTC. All right. How many now do we have?
123. We're down to 123.
We're not going to get it today. Damn
it. Well, you don't know. At noon, we're supposed to see an influx.
Let me tell you about Health Revolution quickly. Info.healthrevolution.net. Don't pay more for health insurance that sucks. You have choices. I mean this when I say write this down. 800-868-6187. Open your phone. Create a new contact. Health Revolution. Info.healthrevolution.net. 800-868-6187. I signed Michael up for this, my oldest son. I wouldn't tell you to do it if I wasn't going to have one of my kids do it. Okay? Save 30 to 60% on your premium. Choose your doctor. No copays. No unnecessarily bundling of services. You choose what you need, and they put together the policy for you, and then you have peace of mind. Okay? Health Revolution. Info.healthrevolution.com. Get in touch with them.
.net.
.net. Get in touch with them. Thank you. Please. It's important. This Affordable Care Act thing's about to go down the toilet. It already has.
I was just going to say.
It already has. Holy Moses. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Now, did you hear in the last segment before the break, as we're talking about John Solomon, who's literally been handpicked by the president in this administration? Help us go through these classified documents. We're going to declassify them. We pledged transparency. We need your help. So they declassify all this stuff that shows that 5 countries have been infiltrating our election systems. And that the CIA in 2020, in the lead up to the 2020 election, watched as Nicolas Maduro and the Venezuelans were able to compromise an election system, flip votes, and erase the paper trail, erase the proof that they had touched it. It reminds me of Fauci working with Dr. Ralph Barrick at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Not on something that makes you well, not on something that could help make you healthier or make you live longer or reverse some horrible problem that you have. No. They were working on no-see-um. Remember? How do you fiddle with a virus? So obviously that it could only have happened in a laboratory, right? And make it so dangerous. One, why would you do that? I don't know, because you're crazy. But to create a technology that erased that, you can't tell. that it's been fiddled with. You can't tell that this virus has been manipulated. That's the stuff of Frankenstein. That's diabolical. That's Mengele stuff, ladies and gentlemen. That's what that is. Same sort of stuff here. You can't tell. We're going to hide our tracks. You know, honest people don't have to do that. Dirtbag, scumbag, losers who hate America and don't care about you and your well-being do. Speaking of people like that, there's Mikey Sherrill, the governor of New Jersey. This is rich. Did you guys know that if you live in the Garden State, which is a beautiful state, I'm just going to tell you, if you've not been, it gets a bad rap. It's a beautiful place. If you live in New Jersey, you are paying for something that may violate everything you believe in and hold dear. And that's called abortion. Abortion for the women in your community. But no, we're not supposed to pay for that. That's done outside of the purview of my mind and my pocketbook. Well, that's not true. Did you guys hear about New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill signing into law a bill that pro-life advocates warn will criminalize praying outside of abortion clinics? Say what? So I can't hold on to my rosary, and I can't pray. I can't bow my head outside the rosary and pray for people if I see fit who are walking in to receive an abortion. You're going to make that illegal in some way? Well, this law makes it a crime to physically block access to facilities offering abortion care or intentionally intimidating people away from those clinics. Penalties can reach 5 years in prison if the obstruction causes serious bodily harm. Violators can face civil lawsuits, with successful plaintiffs eligible for up to $1,000 per violation. Attorney's fees, potentially punitive. We're not worried about the lives that we're taking with abortion and all that stuff. We're going to go after the people who pray that you don't do it. Tell me that makes sense to you. And by the way, if you didn't know that you were paying for it and you're in New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill's telling you right now. Here you go.
Washington Republicans continue to attack healthcare across the nation, and we know how dangerous that is. So we are drawing a line here in New Jersey. My budget already devoted $50 million to protecting reproductive health care. And today, with the signing of this enhanced shield law, we further protect people seeking gender affirming care, reproductive health care. We make sure that providers aren't punished for providing that care, that insurance companies provide support for that care, that your privacy is protected as you seek health care here in the state of New Jersey. And if you are here seeking legal care in New Jersey, then we are going to protect you from other states that try to come after you. As Washington Republicans try to weaponize the federal government against the citizens of this country, we are saying not here, not in New Jersey.
Okay, all that's mumbo jumbo. I got lost on the $50 million. Did you hear that? She's like, we've already allocated $50 million in our budget to protect a woman's right to do whatever the heck she wants to do. $50 million? Are you kidding me? $50 million. How many abortion clinics are there in New Jersey that need, I don't know, security guards to make sure the women can go in and do what they need to do? $50 million? You guys, I asked Grok, AI from X, how many abortion clinics are there in New Jersey? 30 to 41. $50 million. That's $137,000 a day. Dollars a day to keep these abortion clinics safe? Yeah, you're spending that money. You're paying for that. Sorry. When we come back, the deep state is throwing Eric Swalwell into the pit of despair. Aw, Eric, next. $137,000 a day. If what she says is true, we've allocated $50 million to make sure that women can get the care they need without being harassed outside of these clinics. Well, that means you're creating protection. That means you have guards, you have security, you have something that's going into this. $137,000, that's $3,300 a day per clinic that offers abortion. What's that money going to? Did you guys vote for that? Because I didn't vote for the freaking roundabouts. And that's not nearly as offensive as taking, well, you know. I thought we weren't supposed to be paying for it. Wasn't there supposed to be some line in the sand between that, Brock?
Yeah, I thought we weren't paying for it either.
But if you have a prayer mat and you're Muslim and you drop to your knees outside of an abortion clinic and you do your whatever the hell it is, are you going to be fined? Are you going to be arrested? No, they're not going to touch you. You're preferred. It's the white Catholic people. Let's just say what it is. That's what it is.
Christians, yeah.
Christians. Texas Bullion Exchange. I love Texas Bullion Exchange. WendyLovesGold.com. There is no bad time to get educated. The thing I like about when you call 855-927-5557, there's not some like hard sell strategy. Like they've got a number, a quota that they've got to finish. They got to close this sale, baby, or else all hell goes. No, the people at Wendy Loves Gold at Texas Bullion Exchange are super knowledgeable about history, about finance, and yes, about precious metals and how all these things are intertwined to give you peace of mind about your retirement, to give you peace of mind about how you pass down your wealth to your family. Can you imagine being able to give 20 gold coins to your family members and being like, and there's your cut, and your cut is going to continue growing because it's grown since 1971, 7,000%, the value of gold. That's what they're going to do. They're going to teach you so you can make good decisions. If you want gold and silver in your hands, if you want a gold-backed IRA, whatever you want. If you want to send me gold, they can do that as well. WendyLovesGold.com. They're the kind of people that you want to keep in your phone. It's not just a one-time thing. You'll be like, that was a good experience. That was really neat. When I got gold from Canada with Queen Elizabeth's face all over it, I was like, oh, it's pretty exciting. Loved it. Oh. Do we believe that we're going to be in there?
No, I don't know. The hope is there.
The hope is always there.
Hope dies last.
Uh-huh. I don't disagree. Let's see. What else do we have? Let me check my handy dandy roster. So some whistleblowers are retaliated against, and then in some industries, there aren't any whistleblowers because they'll worry that they'll get killed. Honestly, if you were in the FBI or the CIA and you saw that happening in Venezuela, you wouldn't say a damn thing probably because you knew you'd get killed. That's a serious thing to say. It's terrible, but it's true. Gundry, Juvenon, did that. You know, I'm going to take another swing at this one. All right. I'm going to read you something that I think is interesting. And you heard me fumble through this on Wednesday because I did not realize that there is something in our brains, a gland, that actually can get a film on it based on what we eat and what we drink. And this gland that regulates your sleep patterns, your ability to fall asleep and get good restful sleep, the gland that really is in control of your circadian rhythm, which is huge, that depending on what you eat and drink, that you could get residual, almost like a haze or a covering, a cloudiness on this gland. And then you start to feel it by restless nights and just feeling dragged out. So I want to read this to you. I just learned that there is a gland in your brain that most people have never heard of before. And it might be why you're not sleeping right or thinking clearly. Maybe or may not. It's called the pineal gland, Pineal, pineal. You may have heard of it. It's a small pea-sized gland deep in the brain that produces melatonin. And this is the hormone that regulates our sleep and wake cycle. It's most active at night, and it plays a key role in how well you fall asleep and stay asleep. This is big. So turns out things like tap water and processed food can cause calcium and fluoride actually to build up on this gland over time. And that buildup is tied to poor sleep, brain fog, memory struggles. Most people kind of just chalk up to getting older. So if you want to try Pineal Guardian X, that's what it's called. It's actually the first dropper-based formula, just 2 droppers. It's got spirulina, moringa, pine bark extract, and a bunch of other I guess it's 8 other natural ingredients that work together to help support your pineal gland and encourage that kind of sleep, that deep, restful sleep that your body is supposed to get. 2 droppers a day in any drink. Over 50,000 people are already using it. It is sitting at a 4.9-star rating. And it's made right here in the USA. Every order is backed by a 365-day money-back guarantee. That's big. And right now, you can get up to 41% off, plus an extra 15% discount with my link. Go to Nutraville.com/Wendy Bell. Nutraville.com/Wendy Bell. Hey, if you're not sleeping, I'll try anything. Anything that's not drug related to fall asleep. This one is very interesting to me. If you try it and you want to be my crash test dummy, WendyBellRadio.com. I think based on what my handler said, the responses to this product are off the charts. We'll see. We see. All right, I'm dying to see how many we have. 99.8 it says. Is it going to say 99.9 soon? No. Because we're not under 100, right?
No.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. You know, before I dig into this segment, it has 3 very specific parts in it, which is just ridiculous because one of them is Jill Biden. She's floating an idea about why her husband had such a terrible debate performance. It's not wrapped up around, you know, cognitive collapse, dementia, Alzheimer's, whatever the bejeebers weekend at Bernie's was. So I'm going to put that on the back burner for now. Can I speak for everybody for just a second? May I please have that I don't know, honor? I just want anybody to get arrested. I want to see anybody walked out in handcuffs. I want to see somebody, freaking anybody, pay for what they've done to us. And I am so flippin' tired of this slow walk to get there for all that is holy, please. Like, my best hope is that Kash Patel and John Ratcliffe over at CIA, and we've got, a new director of national intelligence, and we've got Homeland Security and all of this stuff, that what they're really doing is working very hard to provide for all of us. Just like a smorgasbord of criminals that they trot out to us and say, all right, bring out number 3. Okay, that's Andy McCabe. Okay, that's John Brennan. Oh, look, there's Clapper and Brennan and all of these people, or whatever his face is, Comey. I want one person to pay. And I'm sorry if that makes me not Christian. No, I'm not. I don't care. I want to taste it. I want to see it. I want to celebrate it, and I don't have to go out and scream in the streets because I'll have a very quiet celebration. But I don't know. Is it ever going to happen? All these people that we know filled with viruses to kill us, to make money and kill us. These diabolical people who would stop at nothing to lie to your face and get rich off of your suffering, even if it means your child. How many people are complicit in this? How do you actually pull the plug and drain the swamp? Who will be left standing? And then who do you believe afterwards? I find it very interesting when someone's political capital is no longer valuable. It's like they have to choose people who are useful idiots. That's why Joe Biden was selected for Barack Obama to puppet through, right? Because most people have some semblance of a moral fabric. We have some tapestry of, I don't know, humanity, decency. At some point, we were raised by somebody who taught us a lesson, who taught us something about the golden rule or about just trying harder not to suck, right? These people never pay. There's never a full circle. There's never restitution. But there are whistleblowers who get dragged through the mud. People who actually do that thing that Clarence Thomas said. It's not negotiable. It doesn't come with a price. It's not for sale. North is still north. Brock and I were walking in today to the studios. And we just talk about sometimes just the remarkable road we've been on together. Not just the two of us, but all of us, collectively. Whether you know me or not. And I said, you know, it's interesting that Michael Cohen, President Trump interview yesterday on WABC. Both men had to agree to meet in the middle to bury the hatchet. But President Trump had to show outstanding grace to a former friend who lied under oath and said Trump was a con man, a racist, a liar, a fraud, a bad guy. See, the only way that doesn't scar you, and it scars, it hurts, is when you know it's wrong. And I said, walking into the building today, I said, you know, I've had some horrible things said about me. I mean, I was called an international racist for many years. People glommed onto that and took that story and didn't investigate it at all and went on, and that's who I was to them. But I never once looked in the mirror. I never once was ashamed of anything I did, anything I said. Any truth that I found, any BS board I put up, any data that I shared with you, I'm not ashamed of a damn thing. I know darn well who I am. The deep state survives based on a predicate. There must be weaklings who can be co-opted, who can be coerced and controlled, who can be tempted with drugs and sex and fame and money and climb up the ladder, right? You've got to have those people to control. Because if you don't, right, you can't. Eric Swalwell, his usefulness is over. It's a shame. Not. What a dirtbag, right? As much as I love guys who allegedly drug women to rape them, right? The walls are closing in on this guy. Andrew McCabe looking very, very serious as a contributor on CNN, looking terrified now that the FBI has Swalwell's phones and his laptops, and they're digging into his texts and his emails and his phone calls, looking for association evidence. Ooh, of what, pray tell? Here's Andy.
Probable cause to believe that there is evidence of a federal crime on those phones or in that residence. And so clearly they were able to convince two judges to go along with these search warrants. what they would be looking for in the electronics devices is primarily things like evidence of communication. So phone calls, text messages, emails, things of that nature. They'd also be looking for association evidence, just trying to figure out whether or not they can connect the former congressman to, let's say, a potential victim, somebody who's spoken to them about being victimized. In the residence, they would be looking for that sort of material as well as other things like maybe photographs or evidence of travel or evidence of that puts essentially the former congressman and some of these victims in the same place at the same time.
So we're just going to say that Eric Swalwell will be the deep state's offering, the sacrificial lamb to the Trump administration, to the rest of us. See, we can hold some people accountable. Is that good enough? No. No, it won't be. Meantime, and this is the story to me of the day, I say all the time, we have going away parties and then we have go away parties. The go away party, the person leaving isn't invited. Everybody else just hangs out, gets drunk and celebrates, right? I thought we had a go away party for the Bidens. Apparently not, because Jill has resuscitated herself. And she's come up into this one podcast. It's called the Jamie Kern Lima Show. And it's amazing. We're still trying to figure out like the origins of the virus. I have no idea where it could have possibly come from. It's like Joe Biden. I have no idea, says Jill, his wife. That debate performance, I just don't know what happened to him. I was as shocked as everybody else. Listen to the new theory that they're banking on. See if you're going to gobble it up.
Still to this day, you don't have a gut instinct on what was that moment.
No, I mean, there's all kinds of theories. He had been traveling. I know he was tired. He didn't feel well that day when I saw him, but there was nothing definitive that I could point to. And I had been on the road for 2 weeks up until that moment. So I wasn't with him. I didn't see him days before, weeks before. I saw him maybe 1 hour before.
And there's no way anyone could have, God forbid, laced his drink or something.
Who knows? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
I know! He was old. He was demented back in 2016, for heaven's sakes. Why do you think they kept Joe Biden in a freaking basement behind a mask while Donald Trump was holding rallies and packing arenas with 30,000 people? Because he was a vegetable, Jill. And you're the worst kind of liar. The worst kind of liar, the fake protector. Well, I just don't know. Well, maybe if you hadn't been traveling for the 2 weeks without him, you would have seen signs of it like the rest of us. Houston, cue the Easter Bunny. We need Joe away from the fence line where people are asking him questions. Oh my gosh, Joe just walked into the bushes. Get him. He fell off his bike. Put this X on the ground. Hey, here's a cue card because I know you don't know who Hillary Clinton is anymore. I don't know, Jill. What could it have been? Somebody laces drink? Please. We are owed smarter people in this country, aren't we? For the love of all that's holy. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. Okay, sign of life. We need something from Mitch McConnell's camp. It's been 68 days. Desiree Townsend's got some details for you. You remember her next. Gosh, bless. What was that? Oh, I don't know. I didn't see it. It's so weird. It's a shocker to me. Well, wait a minute. Remember when you had to go to Camp David and he was they were training. They were pounding Joe Biden in at Camp David. The debate prep. Remember what they said, Brock? At 1 o'clock, they had to put a lid on it because Joe had to take a freaking nap.
Yeah.
And Jill Biden was traveling for 2 weeks. Your husband is
talk to him.
Your husband's the president of the United States. He's an octogenarian. You already know he's a mental midget, right? So this guy's not knocking it out of the park anyway. He's completely corrupt. So you'd think that you'd be there running interference, but she was out glad handing doing whatever the hell she was doing the 2 weeks before the debate. I talked to him. I saw him like an hour in advance. What?
You didn't talk to him for 2 weeks?
Well, wait, and then you took him to Waffle House.
Yeah.
And you trotted him around, and you were like, you was such a good boy. That's like how Brock talks to Murphy. Oh, you're a good boy. Oh, yo, boo-boo. That's what she did.
That's how I talk to him?
No. No, I was just channeling Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. That's all. Oh, yo, boo-boo. Sorry. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. And yet we have evidence that China, North Korea, Iran, Venezuela, who else? We're all infiltrating our election system. Here's the evidence right there. And they're like, what? I can't see that. And then there's Joe Biden. And they're like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. What? Is there a problem we need to talk about?
I'd listen to Murphy bark. It's more intelligent than Joe Biden speaking.
It's just, I'm telling you what. All right, the Simkovich Concussion Institute, ladies and gentlemen. I love these people. Healing. If I could say to you, you need to take a week off of work. It's an emergency. You have to take a week off of work. It's for your own salvation. It's for your own life joy. Because you're walking around and you know that you've suffered a traumatic brain injury. You've fallen, got into an accident, you ran into something, you're not right. You don't know where to go. It's not MedExpress. It's not your PCP unless that PCP is connected to the Simkovich Concussion Institute. Dr. Simkovich will say to you, or one of his people will say, hey, we need to see an MRI. We need to get you an MRI. I'll look at the MRI. I'll see what the problem is, if he sees anything. Talk to you about your symptoms, no matter where you live. Anywhere around the world, anywhere around America. And he'll say, come in, we can fix you. Block a week, probably take 3 days, maybe 4. And then you're fixed. Does that sound worth it to you to get your life back every single life hour or life day that you would have missed? 412-366-3700. I'm not lying to you. I don't lie. 412-366-3700. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. I know what they're going to do. They'll put us in the big box for the good news and I'll be pissed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll be stupid. It'll be our Bad Joke Friday. And they are stupid jokes. They're supposed to be stupid. 274 comments there, you guys. I love it. Demanda, number 1. Darius, number 2. Razorback, number 3. 301 comments. That's lovely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, all of this has been extraordinarily aggravating, this process. And I don't like to be one of those naysayers, right? But it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that anybody is going to pay any kind of a price for infecting us, stealing. Anybody seen Mitch McConnell asking for a friend? Can anybody tell me how this would be acceptable in any other business other than the government, which sucks uniformly, sucks no matter who's in charge, sucks. Where's the Republican Party? Where's the Senate? Is there not one person who's at all curious about where Comrade Mitch McConnell is? Dude was in charge, Senate Majority Leader for a while, and then all of a sudden vaporizes after we see him, Joe Biden. And then my favorite part, that frozen statue thing. That's not uncomfortable at all to watch, right? No, I'm sure he's fine, just like Joe Biden during the debate. Maybe his drink was laced. No, maybe he's 81 and he's got dementia. And maybe you're doing something that's cruel and unusual because you're a feckless disaster who's always been desperate to be first lady. And you dress like my grandmother's curtains. So suck it. There's that. And then there's what Desiree Townsend does, which is much more professional than what I just did. God bless her. She's on this like white on rice. She's outside that hospital. She's monitoring things. She's checking with the aides. Hey, where's Mitch? It's been since June 14th. It's been since Flag Day, Trump's birthday. That was the last time we saw what's his face, Mitch McConnell, wheeled in like in a coma. Right? That's my sound. That's not acceptable. Where is he? Desiree Townsend. She's not a part of any network, which is great, which means she can actually do her job without somebody telling her what to do because Pharma is controlling the purse strings. And she's been sniffing around, not just checking in with his aides. By the way, his chief of staff, McConnell's, makes $230,000 a year. Dude, don't want to miss a paycheck, y'all. And we can't say that Mitch McConnell is either incapacitated or dead because everybody needs to get paid. She starts looking in at stuff, Desiree does. And she looks at some video and she wants to see how was Mitch McConnell when he voted the last. So without further ado, Capitol Hill correspondent and independent thinker Desiree Townsend digs into McConnell's voting record and finds his vote has been prompted and coerced by aides. But, I mean, who cares?
I have been digging into over 40 hours of roll call votes prior to his last vote on June 11th. Now, what I found was absolutely astounding. Basically, staffers, clerks, and even other senators are helping or were helping Senator Mitch McConnell to prompt him to vote and how to vote. I've never seen anything so bad before. So I've clipped out about a dozen or so clips showing you staffers, members, clerks, I believe, on the Senate floor, and even other senators reminding Senator Mitch McConnell to vote and how to vote.
Oh, by the way, we're not even done yet. The chief of staff for Mitch McConnell apparently is seen on video, she says, coaching him to change his vote. I want to throw punch and throw down the stairs real bad at this point. Listen.
I have the chief of staff, Terry Carmack, on video showing Senator McConnell how to change his vote. So essentially what has happened is it's very hard on any given day to see Senator Mitch McConnell come in and vote. Largely, he's wheeled onto the Senate floor. He comes just barely to the door, and he's most of the time out of frame of the camera. The other thing I observed is that Senator Mitch McConnell does appear to have some sort of incapacitation, in my belief. I noticed that he's able to talk and he's more robust during the morning hours, and then in the afternoon, he does not seem to even know where he's at. I've talked to some people in the medical field that work with geriatric patients, and they explain that this is frequently what you see with dementia. They're able to do more in the morning and not as much in the afternoon.
Okay, and this is her looking back at mid-June, last time we've even seen Mitch McConnell alive. And at that point, he was already a vegetable. He has been for years. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why is this okay? But Trump is the problem. Stop it. Stop it. Either Mitch McConnell is dead or he's incapable of coming back to his job. Either way, he's one of 4 no votes on the Save America Act. Hey, John Thune, get your head out of your butt. Oh my, if you think I'm hot now. All right, I got some big news for you about tumors. Vitamin C, lung cancer tumors. Why is this not breaking news? Blah, blah, blah. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. You know what I was going to say? Why didn't they give Mitch McConnell some ivermectin? What did we learn yesterday from Nicholas Holscher, the epidemiologist who works with McCullough and his foundation? He's like, whoa, breaking news. Ivermectin has actual results. No, it was Merrick. Was it William? No, what was his name? Macus. And he's like, hey, we've been using ivermectin on people with neurological disorders. like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. Hi, I've got Alzheimer's on both sides of my family. Don't you think this is important? He says, we've given ivermectin in high doses to people with Alzheimer's who haven't recognized their family members in years. And they do. What? Where's the Fox News alert? Where's everything else that sucks is a Fox News alert. There you go. And then what did he say, Brock? Then he was like, we have a woman with Parkinson's. You know, Parkinson's, you're like, you're Michael J. Fox, right? You're not going and swinging a golf club? She is. She's been incapacitated for years. Given her high-dose ivermectin, and lo and behold, there she is playing golf. This is the jaw-dropping reality that we try to bring to you, because you're not going to get it from the news. You're not going to hear about the CIA knowing about the vote switching before the 2020 election. Why not? You're not going to hear about Michael Cohen saying, you know what? I was co-opted by Letitia James and Alvin Bragg, Soros-funded district attorneys, prosecutors who told me basically if I didn't say what they wanted me to say, I was going to get the book thrown at me as a longer sentence. I said what I said for personal survival. And then he calls President Trump and he's like, yo, I'm sorry. I lied and I'm ready to come clean. I'm sorry.
Well, how about you didn't hear about Fauci's number 2 pleading guilty on the mainstream media?
Why would we want to know about Dr. David Morin's? Oh, by the way, and you know what they were doing? They were erasing their own footprint, right? I know how to get the Freedom of Information
Who they talk
Act
to the people from
requests.
Venezuela about votes?
You see, we know how to get rid of this. We know how to cover it up. Am I just stupid, or am I don't look at people as ways I can connive or pull a fast one over on them, or like. Right? I look at them and I'm like, hey, we get lied to way too much. How about we provide a program that is based on the truth every day? Every day. How about it? If you're tuning in and you're new, do me a favor. We're literally 100 off on follows from 100,000.
118.
You can change that for us. Right now, this is a 5-year walk. This is the final crawl of a 5-year journey. And you're here probably seeing us for the first time saying, who is that ravishingly beautiful woman? I know it's hard to imagine. I want you to click that follow button, please. And you
help a starving podcast.
You can make a difference before Brock gets fired. Okay?
For just one follow a day, you too can help Haji in the mud pits of the podcasting world eat.
I think this is great.
We need a Suzanne Struthers knee high in mud telling you how one follow can
Somebody
help.
needs to make a theme song for us. It's gonna be tear jerking. Anyway, I'm so delighted you're here. Hello. They've put us in the box. You know, one of the things about what we do here on this show, we're on every day, 10 until 1, right here on Rumble, Wendy Bell Radio. Find us, join us, share us. Look, I've been canceled multiple times for telling the truth. I lost my job on television as a news anchor and reporter, and I lost multiple jobs on radio. I got fired from my first job in television because I didn't think that a dirty old man should be able to basically molest me while we traveled to tell stories on national television. So I spoke up about it and got fired. So I have a percolating 24-year-old back in the day, ire. I got canceled at a very young age. I knew right from wrong at a very young age. There's a reason why we channel North is Still North from Clarence Thomas. Because some things are not up for negotiation. Some things aren't buyable. And my integrity is not for sale. So I will continue to piss people off and tell the truth. And I don't care what anybody thinks. That's what they've done to me. And so I become a fierce defender of whistleblowers, of law enforcement, first responders, our military, everything that is conservative, period. And it's not complicated. It isn't. And you don't have to have kids. You don't have to be a parent to seethe the way we do. You just have to love America, I think.
And have common sense.
That's it. That's all we're about. So this last segment, we've been bringing you since the very beginning, the truth about COVID, about the infections, about the death certificates, about the coroner's reports, about everything. We've been telling you also about the cures, because there are cures. Cures, not treatments, cures. Nicholas Holscher, he's going to make another double performance for us here, but this stuff is at the beginning of the show, I got a little fussy. It was about 5 minutes before we went on the air. And I started going through my Twitter feed. And something was posted by WikiLeaks. And I was like, what's this? And it's just a reminder. It says, remember, Pfizer was forced to publish the adverse effects of its vaccine, and they wanted to hide it for 75 years. How many of you remember us saying that at the time? And then they tried to negotiate it. Well, 75 is kind of a long time. I don't know why you want to hide everything from us. I mean, you forced everybody to do what you wanted. You squelched our ability to get other preventive medicines that were exceedingly safe and effective. You told us we were using horse paste, right? At least you could be transparent about the degree of your suck, right? This WikiLeaks page is the first time I've seen the image of pages going by, page after page after page. And you know what those pages are? Those pages are the pages I've shown you how many times? 9 pages of adverse effects related to the vaccines that they told you were safe and effective, and that once you got it, it would stop with you, and that you could be part of this greater good. It's for the greater good. Do what's right. Don't you dare do your own research. Don't you dare think for yourself. Don't you dare not do what we say. Those 9 pages, ladies and gentlemen, I've been talking about for 4 years, single-spaced, one after another, all known side effects from those vaccines. And while I'm excited to see this make it onto the main page on Twitter, we've known. People in my family are vaccine injured. I know this. People in your family. Nicholas Holscher is an epidemiologist. He's super smart. He's with the McCullough Foundation. McCullough, Dr. Peter McCullough, probably one of the most pivotal forces during COVID of truth. And Nicholas Holscher is this guy who crunches numbers and follows data, and he's key to McCullough. And he's also been key to this program because he shares information about ivermectin that you're not going to get anywhere else, okay? And this is the clip that got me last night. I saw this last night and went, what? So he did a study of IV vitamin C. We're going to bag you. We're going to put it right into your bloodstream. Boom, vitamin C. It's not remdesivir, death is near. It's not venting you. It's not some weird elixir, mRNA gene scrambler. It's freaking vitamin C. And it's doing something remarkable to people with terminal lung cancer, with monster tumors in their lungs. Where's your news now? Here's Nicholas Hulscher.
These advanced cancer patients, all of them received high-dose IV vitamin C, ranging from about 25 grams twice a week to 75 grams twice a week. And all these patients, they experienced long-term remission of their advanced metastatic cancers with the IV vitamin C. One of them didn't receive anything, just received the vitamin C. And you'll see her lung tumors before, they're called cannonball tumors in her lungs. She took the vitamin C. And then a few months later, the cannonball tumors disappeared, and her remission lasted for 4 years. We had 2 other cases there. One of them received radiation, so it wasn't just the vitamin C. One of them had surgery and also vitamin C. But those 2 individuals, their remission lasted for 9 to 10 years. There's hundreds of studies showing vitamin C has potent anti-cancer effects in the body through 4 major mechanisms. The main one is basically supercharging your immune cells to fight off a cancer. And the other main one is literally the vitamin C induces what's called oxidation in selectively cancer cells and eliminates them. We even had a randomized trial come out recently. It doubled the survival time in stage 4 pancreatic cancer patients. And so they lived twice as long as those who didn't get the vitamin C.
Why aren't we hearing about this? Why isn't this breaking news? Why isn't this everywhere? Why don't people with lung cancer know about IV vitamin freaking C? Go back to the monologue. Remember when we played Jen Psaki as she was press secretary for Joe Biden? What did she say they were doing? We're working closely with Facebook. We're monitoring social media posts that are about disinformation to get rid of them. And we're also working, and Dr. Fauci is, with influencers so we can get this goal line. We can get across the goal line and get everybody vaccinated. And then what ended up happening? Everything. If you had just been told the truth, none of this would have happened. But if they had just told you, you know what? We've had this remarkable success with this highly available, safe, cheap, and effective for all people. This cool drug called ivermectin. We should give it a go. Other countries did. We didn't. Uttar Pradesh, India, had a 99.7% survival rate, like the freaking Amish. And in America, we suffered the greatest deaths than any other country. And they made Anthony Fauci into a saint. Make it make sense. Nicholas Hulscher says this as well, by the way, before we leave him. Some terrible news about the infant death rate. Listen.
We now have infant mortality rates skyrocketing since 2021. Babies are not dying at an over 50% excess rate after all these pregnant women and childbearing age women were injected with this gene therapy product. And so we know it's harming the infants. Yeah. We know it's inducing these serious, what are called transgenerational adverse events. We know the messenger RNA transfers through the placenta. This was recently demonstrated in a human study. They found messenger RNA and spike protein literally embedded in the placenta and fetal immune cells. They took the placentas of women who recently had babies. It was all over. I could only guess based on that, they wanted to inflict harm on unborn children. This is absolutely diabolical.
As a mom, as a human being, I don't have words for that. But I do remember this public service announcement when 3 hack former presidents got together to implore you to get what's safe and effective.
Our fellow Americans.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans.
and soon they will be available to everyone.
The science is clear. These vaccines will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
They could save your life.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
That's the first step to ending the pandemic and moving our country forward. It's up to you.
Disgraceful, ladies and gentlemen. To the very top, it was a disgrace. Gosh, I need. One time all week long here on the Wendy Bell radio program that you can be guaranteed to not want to throw somebody down the stairs. Steve Hartman takes us on the road to Alabama, where a traffic ticket led to life-changing. Right? It's just not complicated. It just is not complicated. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, it is your bad jokes. This is a risk. I don't know any other talk radio host who does this. I'm going to do this. We're going to do it with you next on the Wendy Bell radio program. You already know we do it every week. I actually I got some of yours and I tried to help Brock out and then I proofread them because, you know, that's the nice thing to do. Right? Uh-huh. Right.
91 is the official
You
number.
guys, we need 91 of you. We've got 8,500 watching, and I know you don't know who I am, many of you. And so all you do is go right underneath a video box and you see the thumbs up, right? That's Rumble. The follow button is the one we want you to hit. And here's what we do. And this is what's great about this show. We're on every day, 3 hours a day, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. It's a radio show. We're syndicated. We're across the country. Thank you very much, Brock. And that's what we do. But we do this here on Rumble, right? On Saturdays, Brock offers a free program. You guys all know it. It's called The Pet Show, Pet Talk with the Pet Doc. And we have a world-renowned veterinarian. This guy is our friend and a wonderful human being. And he does things that are outside of a lot of boxes for some people. He's big into stem cells. He's big into holistic things. He is a phenomenal healer of pets. And for an hour on Saturdays at 10 o'clock Eastern, he and Brock usually sit down and they take your questions. And so if you have an animal who's sick or you've got a question, you can email Brock at wbrbrock@gmail.com and see if he'll ask your question, right? It's great. And then on Sundays, we're not going to do it this weekend. But next Sunday, I'm sure we will because we have to test this new Rumble Studios platform. We do 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called Weekends with Wendy. It's before really anybody's awake, and it's where I put on my tiara and no makeup. We roll out of bed in jams, and we talk. His house, I'm at my house, but we're joined just like this. And we talk about stuff. Some of it is rabbit hole stuff. Right? We talk about different things. We talk about tinfoil hat stuff that far too commonly comes through. And we talk about Morgain's Fitness. Kelly Morgan, Morgain's Fitness, Morgainz. If you guys know Kelly and you can help us out, her gym is up for the best gym in Southwestern land before time, and we want her to win it. Plus, don't forget, she has this is a bodybuilder friend of ours who's just phenomenal. Air Force veteran, mom, entrepreneur, small business owner, all of it. And she has this program that you can do online with her called 90 Ignite, where you give her 90 days of your eating right. And she gives you the foods and the exercises. And the before and after pictures we get are just stupid. I mean, it's this. It's this. Look at that before and after. Look at her here. She looks cute here. Look at hi, ripped mama here. Look at that. Look at this one. This one's great.
Oh, that's a nice lady with a nice butt.
Look at that. 90 days. Morgain's Fitness. Morgainz fitness.com. I love any way to take action for yourself without freaking pharma dirtbags.
All right, let's get the official count. 85.
Oh my gosh. Thank you to those who did it. You know, you have no allegiance to me. You have no reason to follow me. So I appreciate that. We're trying to get to this milestone together instead of over the weekend, which is probably when we'll get there. But it'll still be wonderful, and I love you guys.
Get it tomorrow in the pet show.
Oh, great, when I'm not there. See, that sucks.
Wow.
That blessed time of the week, ladies and gentlemen, that you own your bad jokes. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just flew in from New York, and boy, my arm's tired. I'm joking, of course. Anywho, welcome to the Comedy Club. Don't you give it up to Wendy and Brock for Bad Joke Friday.
Okay, our first joke, as always, is from Dr. Richard Rafferty from the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, and it goes like this. Johnny's mother says to him, Johnny, don't you lie to me. Why were you looking in that strip club window? Well, I wanted to see what was in there. Why? Did you see anything? Well, yes, ma'am. What'd you see? Grandpa? That's grody.
That's funny.
No, it's not.
It surely is. What's the difference between a far leftist and a baby?
Huh.
The baby will eventually grow up and stop crying.
During a church service, the pastor asked if anybody in the congregation would like to express praise for answered prayers. Susie stood, walked to the podium, and she said, 2 months ago, my husband Phil had a terrible bicycle accident, and his scrotum was crushed. That's funny to you. I'll never know. There was a muffled gasp from the men in the congregation. Phil was unable to hold me or the children, she went on, and every move caused him terrible pain. We prayed as the doctors performed a delicate operation. They were able to reconstruct the crushed remnants of Phil's scrotum using wire to reinforce and shape it. The men in the I'm sweating a little bit. The men in the congregation cringed. They squirmed uncomfortably. Now, she announced in a quivering voice, thank the Lord. Phil is out of the hospital, and the doctors say that with time, his scrotum should recover completely. All of the men were like, woo! Sighed with relief. The pastor rose and asked if anybody else had something to say, and a man stood up and walked slowly to the podium. He said, hi, I'm Phil. The entire congregation held its breath. I just want to tell my wife the word is sternum.
I thought this was supposed to be Bad Joke Friday. You're riding a horse at full speed.
Oh.
There's a giraffe next to you.
Uh-huh.
And a lion chasing you.
Oh, my gosh.
What do you do?
What do you do?
You get your ass off the carousel.
Oh, my gosh. A blonde girl takes her car to the body shop to get a dent fixed, right? The mechanic, seeing that she's a blonde, decides to have a little bit of fun with her. He tells her she can save money by fixing the dent herself. All she has to do is blow really hard into the exhaust, and the dent will pop out. So the blonde goes home, parks in her driveway, and begins blowing as hard as she can into the exhaust. After many attempts with no success, her friend, also blonde, turns up and says, what the hell are you doing? Well, she says, well, I mean, the mechanic told me if I blow into the exhaust, the dent will pop out. Except it doesn't seem to be working, first blonde says. A blonde friend replies, you are so stupid. How do you expect that to work when your top is down and all your windows are open? Stupid.
Oh, that's funny. Mick and Patty had attended a funeral together. When Mick commented to Patty, it was a good service. Patty replied, yes, it was. Mick asked, Patty, can you do me a favor? When I go, can you get the most expensive bottle of whiskey and pour it over my grave?
Oh.
Patty said, I'll do that. But you don't mind if I run it through my kidneys first.
Oh,
I butchered it.
You did
I
butcher it,
it. And it was a
Brock.
good one.
Gosh, an Irish daughter had not been home for over 5 years. I know. Upon her return, her father cursed her heavily. Where have you been all this time, child? Why you not write us? Not even a line. Why didn't you call? Can you not understand what you put your mother through? The girl crying replied, Dad, I became a prostitute. You what? Get out of here, you shameless harlot sinner. You're a disgrace to this Catholic family. Oh, Dad, as you wish. I only came back to give Mom this luxurious fur coat, the title deed to a 10-bedroom mansion plus a $5 million savings certificate. For me little brother, this gold Rolex, and for ye, Daddy, the sparkling new Mercedes limited edition convertible that's parked outside, plus a membership to the country club, and an invitation for y'all to spend New Year's Eve on board my new yacht in the Riviera. What was it you said you wanted me to do? Said, or what is it again? You said you'd become, said the dad. A girl crying said, a prostitute, Daddy. Oh my goodness, you scared me half to death, girl. I thought you said a Protestant. Come here and give your dad a hug. Oh gosh.
A guy gets a call from the morgue to identify his wife's body.
Oh.
He looks at the body and starts crying. You and your wife must have been really close, the guy says.
Oh.
He says, no, we hated each other's guts. He says, then why are you crying so hard? Why are you so upset? Because that ain't her.
Oh! You love the mean, nasty husband joke. Do you think that when fish get thrown back into the water by fishermen, that they swim around yelling about alien abductions and the other fish think they're crazy and stop talking to them? No, probably not. That was a bad joke, Brock. That was the punchline. So.
Why should you never share a secret with a taco? It will spill the beans.
I got nothing else that's short, babe. You got one more?
I don't. I just want to say follow.
Thank you guys for being here. Click the follow button. Come on back on Monday. We love being a part of your life, and I'm delighted you're part of ours. Thank you. Sincerely. Be safe. Love you all. Peace.